12 to 14 megapixels.
Yeah, but your real camera has a dirty lens.
That's the old one. But that's okay to give me shit about it. That's
That's okay.
funny. That's actually kind of funny.
That. Yeah, I will never stop giving you shit about your
Right,
dirty
right.
camera. I,
Yeah. It's actually funny. Uh, my brother just got a super cheap camera.
okay.
Actually, it was free, but he had to buy the lens. He had to buy the memory card. I don't know what the condition of the battery is.
Hmm.
And it might be the same model as my dirty camera.
Like, oh,
And when he talked about it, I didn't want to mention, hey, you know what? With the problem with these old cameras is that the adhesive and some of the fuzziness that they build around it to help it not reflect things, that stuff goes bad and gets all over the sensor, and thus you have a dirty camera. So you got
well,
all this black shit on the lens.
yeah.
Newer cameras, when you turn it on, it will do this sweep of the sensor, so it cleans the sensor every time.
It,
That one you have to manually hit it.
it's kind of interesting. There's this like technology dilemma or thing that happens that changes the way we do things as we go without us intending for that to be the way. For example, you mentioned you don't buy a phone for a camera, yet people today generally don't buy cameras unless they really want to get serious about photography. I mean, like I recently gathered the last of the home movies that were recorded on tapes to
Yeah,
get those onto a viewable medium so that we could, because I mean stuff I got the VHS-C tapes from my sister who took some home movies of my nephew when he was a baby and growing up. And that's that was dated technology when she was taking those movies. I mean, that
sure.
camcorder was probably dirt cheap, which is why my parents probably bought it for her. Yeah, this will be good enough for you. But and they had the good camcorder, which was the mini DV tape camcorder, which oddly enough,
Which by
yeah,
today's standard, it's a pain in the ass because, okay, who's got a FireWire cable? Or
yes, yes, exact. Who's got a or well, the cable you could order through Amazon, but who's got a computer with a FireWire port?
exactly,
You know,
exactly.
you know what? I have two
Yeah.
laptops that have FireWire ports, and you know where I got those laptops from?
Tarko,
Yes,
right?
and one of them used to be Marvin's. Not sure who the others was, but
Was that Dell?
yeah, yeah. I have two. I have two of the old Dells from Tharco. I had three old Dells from Tharco, but Venison ended up with the better of the three.
No, you're such a nice guy.
Yeah. So who knows where that one ended up? It's probably in a landfill somewhere now, with gigs and gigs of porn. But anyways, oh, we kid. We love you, Venison. We love you wherever you are. But anyways, yeah.
Don't speak ill of the dead,
Oh, hey,
but it's okay to tell the truth.
I didn't say there was anything wrong with having gigs and gigs of porn.
Well, I mean, some people might look at it that way.
Well, that's on them. Yeah.
Oh, okay, okay.
Anyways,
Ooh,
the thing that's cool about mini DV tapes though is that the video is basically already in a digital format. I mean, it's just that it's using tape-based storage for the video data instead of optical-based storage.
Actually, my
And
first camcorder was mini DV,
right,
and
so
I did like it.
when you want to basically dump the data to a computer, yeah, you're familiar with it. You got to have a FireWire cable. You got to have a software that'll capture it, and it's basically just capturing the raw data off the tape and putting it into a file, an MPEG, I
Exactly.
think. And
Yeah, I think so.
and the only problem with that is that, I mean, that's cool because in the sense you're basically copying files, but it's bad because you have to do it in real time, which is the most inefficient way to copy files.
Exactly.
It'd be nice.
Actually, that's a very good point. Yeah, because you set it up and you kind of go, "Oh yeah, this tape has got an hour worth of garbage."
Which, mind you, before I was dealing with this, I was dealing with VHS tapes, which were also being captured real time. So I shouldn't be complaining. It's just that the technology of mini DV should be able to dump that quicker than real time, but somehow that was not built into the camcorders to be able to
Right.
do a firewire data dump at quad speed or 8 times speed or 16
Exactly.
times
Yeah.
speed.
Right. Yeah. What's wrong with you people?
You know but the thing is that on the one hand, look at my parents had about what 5 to 10 tapes of home movies. There's some stuff from my sisters performing in the marching band. There's movies my dad took of cars at car shows. There was at some point I think they took a movie of there's Christmas stuff, and then it just gets stored and not watched until someone digs it out, and then it's a very intentional act of we're gonna watch this the stuff, or someone converts it to another format, and now we have it to watch easily, and you're probably still just going to watch it once and store it and maybe come across it later. Whereas on the phone now, we send stuff back and forth and we look at things more frequently, but it's much more haphazard and scattered. Some stuff gets backed up to cloud, some stuff doesn't. No one's really keeping track of this stuff or organizing this stuff. So in 10 years from now, what is look at what I've done over the past 10 to 20 years. Gathered
Yeah. Hang on a second. I was connecting to the stream to watch the ad, which was a Samsung ad, but for some reason, I've got the volume all the way down on it, but for some reason, and the volume is still there.
Oh.
The fuck is wrong with you?
Well, you could
Are
probably
you related
pause
to
it.
this Facebook problem? Well, I do, but that's not the whole goal here.
So we were brought to you by Samsung.
Yes, Samsung. And I missed what product that really was.
Now, last week
general?
we were brought. This was brought to you by Instagram from Facebook, and this week Facebook is
happened?
down. Yeah, that's what happened.
Actually, it's back up again. But...
yeah, it is. It is back up. Anyways, so the point I'm getting at is like, if I go back over the past 10 to 20 years, I've gone through gathering the old Super 8 movies from my mom and aunt's childhood, digitizing those, VHS tapes from my childhood, digitizing those, capturing them from a VCR. Now I've got the more recent home movies from the last from the early 2000s. VHS-C, the mini DV, digitize those so we can watch them more frequently. In 20, 30 years from now, are people going to be gathering up these digital files stored in cloud-based systems and migrating it to something else? What are people going to be? I mean, it's not the same at all. Absolutely. I mean, we have completely...
You can't imagine that we're going to go away from files.
No.
Maybe there'll be better formats, deeper definition, et cetera, but it should be able to translate from the older files.
I mean,
right?
physical...
who still use... Let's see, what is the old... there probably are some old standards that will eventually go away.
It's funny how far we're moving away from physical media, but how much we're also trying to resist it at the same time. But it almost seems futile. I mean, it almost seems archaic when you see someone bring an SD card to a Walmart 1 hour photo to have them, which it's not even a 1 hour photo. It's a kiosk with a laser jet printer with photo paper in it now, and you select your pictures and you print them out. That's like the closest thing we are to now of actually getting film developed is getting pictures printed from an SD card, and that seems like a dated thing that you see senior
Isn't the
citizens
current
doing.
isn't the current Polaroid camera, instant photography, essentially a digital camera with a built-in printer?
Um, is there that? Does that exist?
Maybe not in the Polaroid brand.
No. Well, the
If
Polaroid
you go
brand.
to if you go to Walmart or Target and go to the photo section, you'll probably see some of these devices.
Well, actually, it's
Plus,
funny.
I think they still get, shall we say, throwaway cameras where you take the photos on it, fill up whatever memory capacity it has, send it in, and they get your photos. I think
It,
that's still around.
it's really interesting what has happened to the Polaroid company and the Polaroid brand, because Polaroid continued to make film for a very long time,
Oh yeah,
and they continued as a company for a very long time,
yeah.
and then at some point they stopped making the film for obvious reasons, which was on the one hand,
Here's the thing that I think is really funny.
well,
One of the brand of cameras that are out there is Fuji. They also made film, and I believe they still make film,
mhm,
but their company name actually is Fujifilm.
Fujifilm. Okay.
So you'll have a camera that'll say Fuji, but the company is Fujifilm.
Yeah, but
Even though it's digital and
there
they're not going
have
to be
been
selling film for that camera.
there have been. I mean, that's not a foreign thing for a company to be named after something that becomes obsolete, but they keep the company name because they've adapted.
Like BlackBerry.
Yeah.
They don't make phones anymore. They make software for phones.
Right. But anyways,
I think that's funny.
it's what's funny is that Polaroid continued to make film, Polaroid film up to 2008.
Yeah.
2008 is when they announced that they decided to gradually cease production and withdraw completely.
Well, if you had an old Polaroid land camera, you'd be pissed off.
Well, yeah, and so you know what happened? People actually decided that they were going to try to get together and make their own Polaroid film to fill the void, and that company was called something like the Dream Project or something like that. I forget. I'm trying to look up, but eventually they acquired the Polaroid name, and so now they are Polaroid.
So it's kind of a reboot.
It's kind of a reboot, but the thing is that the new Polaroid film is not as good as the old Polaroid film. And I remember when Gothard first told me about it, he told me the reasoning was, well, Polaroid won't give up the trade secrets, and so because they won't give up the trade secrets, we can't make it as good as it used to be. But then I did some research. That's not what it is. What it is there were chemical companies that develop chemicals strictly for Polaroid film, as in they had one contract, and that was with Polaroid. And when Polaroid in 2008 pulled the plug on Polaroid film, those companies closed up shop. So now the current Polaroid film that's made is something that has to be developed that could be made with existing chemicals and products. So that's why it's been a challenge to make a modern Polaroid film. And I have some of it. I just haven't had a reason to use it. So I've got 6 packs of Polaroid film in my fridge. Anyways, we have Mars with us.
Hey, Mars!
So Gators, do you do the Polaroid shake?
The Polaroids. Well, yeah, you do a little of that, and it really does nothing. I mean, you can shake the picture.
Wait! It doesn't do anything. I've always learned you gotta shake it as it's getting the film going.
You got to shake it. You got to blow on it.
You gotta shake it, Gators, because you
got to
the
shake
chemicals
it.
on the bottom.
Shake it.
You shake it. You go.
You shake it. You shake it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now,
it's a new dance, the Polaroid shake.
I think our viewer count just went down from
So
that.
did that
Did it
become?
Really? Come on,
No.
everybody knows about the Polaroid shake.
The Polaroid, shake it.
So
You
does
shake
that
it.
become the laser toner cartridge shake?
Oh yeah, I do that too.
The laser
Yeah.
toner
But the
cartridge shake.
toner shake you have to use 2 hands because the
So,
toner's bigger.
Oh,
And
see, it's
you
a
don't
whole
want to make them
different
fly
dance
across
step.
the room because they're expensive and very messy. You throw your picture, it stays in one place. It's okay.
but anyways, Brian is now showing some things on his screen. Now, I know Mars is has varying degrees of working vision,
Well,
but
my monitor is off today, so
okay.
Okay.
yeah.
So
I'm hoping it's child friendly.
well, that all depends. Now, Brian, I don't know. I'll let you. I don't know where you're going with this.
Well, I was at a CVS today, just kind of
Okay.
wandering around, and oh, hey, there's their coffee aisle. Let's see what they carry.
So you went to the CVS coffee. Now, Mars, have you ever bought coffee from the coffee aisle at a CVS?
Yeah. But I
Okay.
buy coffee. I buy
See?
coffee. Yeah.
Okay. So there's acceptable options here.
It's whole bean, you know.
So
Yeah.
they are carrying Folgers in a Keurig cup.
Okay, Brian. This is
Yes.
very early in the show. Why are you throwing the F-bomb already? Why? Why?
Well,
Dang.
because you came on and that's what I thought of.
That's
I thought of you.
gross. Why do you want that? Stop.
Folgers in a K cup made you
Dude,
think of
that's
Sir
two
Mars.
things. That's
Hey,
two
and
things.
this
Yes,
is-
Brian.
It's
Two things.
even better.
Brian.
Yes,
Brian, how far do you think those would go in a giant slingshot? How far could I chuck those things?
Oh, I guess I'll have to send it to you.
Gross.
Okay, so here's
Yeah,
here
I
is the
With a
best
giant
part of
slingshot,
it.
I'll see if I can make it.
He
to your
knows where you live.
I know.
I guess he
Here
does.
is the best part of it. Okay.
What?
The regular price is this was a 12 pack.
12 cups, okay.
12-pack.
The regular price is $9.79.
Mm-hmm.
I
Okay.
got it for okay. I got $4.80 off, so it was on sale for $4.99. And then I got an additional coupon savings, another $2.16 off. So basically, I got it for about $2.
So you only overpaid by $2, is what you're saying.
Brian,
Exactly.
Brian,
I won't feel that
they-
bad if I decide, I gotta throw this shit away.
They gave you. I'm sorry you even thought about buying this tax. That's the coupon you got. We're sorry you bought that.
You bought the Folgers cake. Now, Brian,
I bought it for this show.
You
By the way,
did not-
best if there is such a thing. Best if used by November 12th.
Yeah, they say about 2
2021.
months. Actually, that's K-Caps last about 2 months.
Well, no,
Yeah.
no. Folgers, however, is the always spreading the biggest lie of all time.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh, I was gonna say, do those have crystals inside them, Brian?
Do they have the flavor crystals?
Yes.
Well, it says classic roast.
Okay.
I doubt that it's crystals.
I'm sure it's got the crystals. It's got to have the crystals.
Okay.
Because
So
I was
if
not at all
decide
thinking
I
of Cinderburst
hate it-
scum.
Okay, so if I decide, oh my god, this is horrible,
Yeah.
I'll take one of the K-cups,
Yeah.
cut it open to see if it's crystals.
There you go.
So
And
Brian,
I'll
if
even
it-
take pictures of it
This
so
is
we
what
can
you do.
all see, after the fact.
Yeah.
If they're no good, you open them all up and use them for your compost. That's what they're good for.
Folgers.
I do have 3 5-gallon pails in the backyard with lids, with either holes or slits to drain, and I have basically drip sprinkler hoses that go to it. So every couple of days, it throws some water in there, and then it drains out if it goes too much, and making really good compost.
Yeah.
That's a
Polygraphs
good
are
idea.
excellent for that.
Although I don't think that the K-cup plastic is really compostable.
No, you open it up and throw it in there.
Oh, I understand that.
So, but the
It would
biggest
be better if it was compostable.
But Folger's biggest crime is their huge lie of their ad campaign. Folgers continues to claim that the best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup. Well, I have to say, I've woken up a lot of different ways, in a lot of different conditions, a lot of different circumstances, and that's an absolute lie. You know what the best part of waking up is?
What?
Rolling over, going back to sleep. That's the best part. There is no better morning than when you wake up and you're like, oh, I can roll over and go back to sleep. That is the best part of waking up.
I will say their best commercial was the Rockapella Folgers commercial. That was actually the best commercial they've ever done. So
yeah, and the worst one was that.
What did Dune mean by that? Tiny Brian?
Well, you're really shrunken down in the corner on your screen.
Well, I didn't want to be in front of the fantastic image.
Now, what about the unreleased?
I'll make a big Brian now.
What about the unused Paul Stanley Folgers commercial?
I don't think I've ever seen that.
I don't know if I've seen that one. Oh my god.
Oh, we might have to bring this up right here, right now.
I don't think I've seen that one.
Yeah, no, they that was big.
Thought that Folgers would have been a big topic on this show. Oh, I think everybody did.
That was big news when it finally saw the light of day. They had Paul Stanley make a Folgers commercial, and then like the test audiences were like, "Who the fuck is this old dude?" And so they didn't use it. But it's let's see here if it.
This is your wake-up call. Time to reach, go for it all. Folgers stirs inside of me, and I know what I can be. Limit is the sky. Hey world, watch me fly. The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup.
So there it is.
I think I prefer. Okay, you know, actually, their tagline I think is actually kind of nice. So was lying. It's an ad, right? How about Maxwell Health and good to the last drop?
Brian, the best one was fill it to the rim with brim. That was better.
Yeah. Right.
You know, I gotta say, I used the fill it to the rim with brim for this goes to show how much of a reach it was, how hard I tried to fit in with the PCA crowd. Because there was this joke among the IT team in PCA. Because I don't know if you all remember, there was a guy by the name of Pat who was one of the kind of higher up people. I don't know if you ever met him.
I left before PCA took over.
Okay, you didn't know these people then. All right.
Nope.
All right, so this is as new of a story to you as anyone else, and you know these people as much as anyone else. All right, so there was a guy that was kind of there was like two top people for PCA IT that reported up to the big dog, and those two people, one of them was Pat, and so you know we all worked with Pat, we all knew Pat, all the IT people knew Pat, and they all got along because they all liked drinking beer. You know, they were work hard, play hard type of team. You know, they all worked hard all day long, and then they went back to the hotel lobby, grabbed a shit ton of beer, and just sat around.
That could have been nice.
Oh yeah, no, it was great. Yeah, they were fun people to drink with. So, but where was I going with this? Damn it, I lost my train of thought.
Pat, PCA, and
Coffee.
Brim. Oh yes. So at one of the times we have lunch ordered in, and they ordered chicken wings, and so they had different types of chicken wings. You know, you got like the garlic, the hot wings, and there was a package of the mild wings, and Pat picked it up and was holding it upside down, and Pat posed the question, "What the heck is Plim chicken?" Because mild upside down looked like Plim with an upside down M, but so he read it as Plim chicken. So that became a running joke at IT to order some Plim chicken. So like
Plu?
What's that?
Wouldn't it be Plu, Pliw, instead of Plim?
Right, but he recognized that the M was an M even though it was upside down, and so he thought it. He read the word as plim, and said, "What is plim chicken?" And that no one would ever let him live that down. Like for example. We were working at one of the paper mills, and the staff there was really good. They were like, just write any food or snacks or anything on the whiteboard here, and we will, on our next shopping trip, send someone out to get that. So there was always tons of junk food at these migrations. Canister of Twizzlers, different candies, jerky, trail mix, you name it. And then they still would bring in lunch, and they bring in dinner, or we go out to dinner. I mean, it was crazy. There was unlimited budget on these migrations, and then they would pay for all the beer that we'd have back at the hotel lobby. It's like work hard, play hard.
God bless the big corporation.
So on the whiteboard with the list of stuff that they were asking for, they actually wrote plim chicken to let the people figure that out. So at some point when it was Pat's birthday, there was an email chain going, which of course I was on because the entire IT group was on it, and they're all sending birthday greetings with references to plim chicken, and giving him plim chicken for his birthday and making jokes. And I couldn't think of any good plim chicken jokes. The only thing I could think of was plim coffee. So I took a image of Brim coffee and photoshopped it to say plim coffee, and said, well, I don't have any plim chicken for you, but here's some coffee. and I don't know if anyone thought that was funny or not. I thought it was a mildly funny. I thought it was just funny enough to send. That was it met like the minimum requirement of being a joke.
Right.
So yeah, we filled it to the rim with plim.
That you get you fired, right?
Well, I was already. I'd already put in my
so remember,
notice.
Mars, you remember back, where Bachman hits Hesperian and Hayward?
Yes.
There's that little strip plaza there.
Uh-huh.
And Bachman comes right out at the building that used to be a Taco Bell. It changed to a small Mexican
It's not Taco
place.
Bell anymore?
No. And then
it wasn't a Taco Bell when I was living there.
No, I know.
crap.
And they go, oh, no, you
Shows
can't
how
be a
long it's been
Mexican
since I've been there.
place because you're going to violate our trademark because you've got that archway, the Taco Bell archway on the building. So they decided to become a Chinese restaurant, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, so as you're looking down Bachman, to the left is the strip center, and there's a little hardware store or something, and this and that. And there used to be a sandwich shop, like right in the middle. Mm-hmm. And Tharko used to go there all the time. Although the outfit moved when the owners of the building raised the rent. They said,
Of
"Fuck
course,
you,
that's
we're
usually
moving."
how it is.
Unfortunately, they were too far for us to go there regularly. I go there a couple of times, but I used to go there almost every other day. I think it was called Zorba's.
I love
Anyway,
Zorba's.
they had some sandwiches with a...
The Zorba's, Brian, the Zorba's was over on Amador. Jackson, that's where it used to be.
They must have moved then,
Yeah.
because
they used to be there. They actually moved, and there was one in Fremont because I knew Mr. Zorba. I used to go visit him. I used to go visit him at night before I would.
So he had more than one.
Well, he had a couple. He had one in Fremont, one in Hayward.
Oh,
and
okay.
the thing is, the one in Fremont closed, so I think Zorba is retired. I don't think the Greek restaurant's open anymore. I always used to buy their...
So they had some unusual names for sandwiches, and one was a tuna sandwich called the Sorry Charlie.
Yep, there's that one.
Sorry, Charlie.
My favorite one.
We gave this guy our orders because we were going to have lunch brought in for, a lunchtime meeting. And one person there ordered the Sorry Charlie. And the knucklehead that went to get the sandwiches thought that meant Sorry Charlie means you don't want a sandwich.
Oh, boo.
So this guy didn't get a sandwich.
What? But that's on their menu.
I know it.
So,
I know it.
Bri-
Isn't that hilarious?
Brian, the one I used to get there, I used to get the 3/4 pound hamburger, cheeseburger with bacon and a bunch of stuff on it, and
Yeah.
they didn't really have a name for it, but the price was $6.66, so I always called it the Satanic Burger.
Hey, hey,
Yeah.
you know what? The old Taco Bell has gone back to being a taqueria.
Oh, there you go. It's actually better
Oh,
than
it
Taco Bell
is.
now.
I'm doing a street view for that was taken just this past April, and it says it's El Mezcal Taqueria, and they're
I'll be
hiring.
damned.
Yeah,
There you go.
I'll be damned.
I wonder if Taco Bell's going to sue them again.
Maybe.
Maybe they changed the way. I think the way the top was like an arch before, and now it's like a typical slanted roof.
Yeah, I mean we could do a little time machine. I think. Oh, here we go. If we click here, we could take a look at older snapshots
Ooh,
of
back in
of
time.
this. So no, that's still a taqueria. Let's go. That's still a taqueria. Oh heck, it's been a taqueria back in 2019. It was a taqueria in 2017. It was a taqueria earlier in 2017. Wow. All right, here we go. 2015 taqueria.
Damn.
And 2011,
There we
it was
go.
a Taco Bell. Now, I didn't think it was a Taco Bell when I lived there.
Yeah, I don't know.
But-
I've always known that as a Taco Bell in that area. But
I thought it was something else.
I don't recall that being changed.
I don't. Wow. I don't. Apparently, this was a Taco Bell when I first lived here because I started working Tharco in July of 2008. So my memory, but I guess I remember it being a taqueria, and
Google Maps is lying.
no. Well, maybe here's the thing. There's a gap between 2011 and 2015. So maybe your whole thing, they got sued by Taco Bell and became a Chinese restaurant, happened sometime between 2011 and 2015.
Yeah, well, in 2013, I went to Singapore.
Okay, so maybe we're all just remembering things wrong.
Well, I mean, it would have changed from the Chinese restaurant while I was gone.
Of course,
I just assumed that it was still the Chinese place.
now the place that you used to go to all the time was down the road. Where's Aggie's?
No, the other way. The other way.
Aggie's is the other way?
No. Oh, well, there's Aggie's as well.
That's the the sandwich shop we're talking about was in that little strip center we're looking at. But is Aggie's still around?
That's a good question. I don't know. Good point.
Yeah, because I know you used to like to go there a lot because they had the well now I just zoomed into a window someplace. I don't know why Street View decided, hey, let's take a look at this dentist
I know,
office
sometimes,
window. We could take a look at someone getting their teeth drilled. Oh, here it is. Here's Aggie's. Here we go. And the problem is that when Brian and Nick would go to lunch, it was a 50-50. So half the time, if Nick would give in and let Brian have his vote for Aggie's.
Give in. Isn't there like a I'll buy this time, then you get next time?
Well, I know when it came down to the three of us, I would always kind of hem and haw at Aggie's, and we end up going there a whole lot less often.
What about the cheesesteak place?
Yeah, we went there a bit.
Yeah, we go there by the Target.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, we did that a few times, although I don't know that
Yeah.
Nick was a big fan of that. I'm trying to think what Nick was even a fan of.
Nick would kind of go along. He would never say anything negative. So, like, if you said that he didn't like Aggie's, that's a surprise to me.
Well, I don't think
Sometimes it was just him and me going to Aggie's.
You know what? I'd have to say that I don't think Aggie's was his favorite, but now that I'm starting to think about it, I can't think of anything that was Nick's favorite. You know, if you asked him where he wanted to go, I mean, he didn't.
Well, he worked in Oakland for quite a while. Maybe in Oakland downtown, they've got some really nice restaurants.
I mean, he wasn't a fan of the KFC because he always complained about that they should give you a wet nap because the napkins weren't enough to clean the grease off his fingers.
I agree with that statement, actually. You cannot disagree with that statement, actually. You can't.
No, I agree.
So here's a funny,
but but I have access to a sink,
You
But
don't.
go
Yeah,
ahead.
right. But then again, if you're driving, you got those greasy hands on your steering wheel.
Well, there's a bathroom at the KFC in there.
That's true.
Go wash your hands in the restroom before you leave.
I rarely had interest in KFC, so
Yeah.
in fact,
popcorn chicken
I don't
was
think
pretty
I
good.
ever went to that Popeyes.
Well, we went to
The
the
first Popeyes I ever went to, I was living in Singapore.
Because now Nick and I went to Popeyes a few times, and he liked the
Yeah.
Popeyes better than the KFC, but
I'll
they
go
had
Popeyes in a heartbeat over KFC now.
they have a less greasy, more crispy breading on their
And you can get
chicken.
spicy too if you want.
Yeah. Well, KFC has spicy too.
And their biscuits are amazing. I used to always get a thing of biscuits.
Well, I think the reason we started going to Aggies less, on top of me not being a big fan of Aggies, I mean, Aggies had the rice and chicken bowl thing, the stir fries, which I was like kind of meh to, and their burger wasn't anything to write home about either. But I think you like the stir fry.
What was the burger place by the Mexican place?
Well, there was
closer to
there was Classic Burger, and there was
Classic Burger.
Classic Burger was the close one, but then there was the other Best Burger was a little further.
Yeah, further down Washington.
Right. But the thing
And
about
I looked at those being similar. I liked the Classic Burger because it was just this guy and his wife, and they'd have their little kid in there.
and I think the nail in the coffin of Aggies was that we found out that Aggies had a decent service time when two people went, but when I started tagging along with you and Nick,
Yeah, that's right.
that's when
That's right.
the service time went way down, and so
Yeah.
when it was suggested, maybe we shouldn't go because 3 people, I was like, sounds good to me because I don't like
You're
it
right.
anyways.
I forgot about that. Well, so here's a funny thing. Okay, so Nick is of German heritage, and he's very proud of that. No problem with that, right?
yeah.
I was visiting him in Alameda, and he took me to this German restaurant. And he looked like he was happy as a clam there. So that's the kind of place that he really liked.
Now,
But also near the mall in San Leandro, what is that by the BART
Bayfair?
BART station?
Bayfair?
Bayfair.
yeah,
There is it's actually on 14th, I think it is. There is that German, what do you call a place?
the
Hofbrau house.
the Hofbrau,
Hofbrau, yeah.
I think we went there like the day before it closed.
I think he kind of liked that place.
He liked, yeah, you're right, he did like that place.
I go to Hofbrau a lot. And that's
it-
only because there was one near here.
We would have gone more often, but that was a further drive.
Yeah, it wasn't that close.
Yeah. Now,
Like what happened to Zorba's. That they moved out of that strip mall.
Yeah, COVID
and they were
killed
too far
Zorba's.
away.
I'm so depressed about that.
now, Five Dude asking where did I go after PCA? Well, they offered me the job in Minneapolis, and I said, well, you're going to have to pay me this much to go to Minneapolis, and they said, well, no, we don't pay that much, and I said, well, goodbye, and resign, and that's when I moved.
And if you had known any better,
Yeah.
you could be neighbors with Nick.
Oh, wow.
So this was win-win.
Well,
I
he's
see.
in Minneapolis now, so if you had gone.
Yeah. So this is win-win.
Oh, win-win. Oh, win-win. I thought you said win-win. Ding dong. Sorry.
No, I kid. I really wanted to get back to the Northeast, so I quit
No,
the job.
I got you there.
I quit and said, see ya. Like I like they told me my job was going to become redundant if I didn't take another opportunity. So they were trying to help me find another opportunity, and they offered it to me, and I said no. And so after I said no, I put in my resignation. I didn't, wait around to find out when they were going to fire me. So I went out on my terms, and then I moved back east and started job
Which I
hunting.
think is the way to go. Yeah.
So so that's where I went. Where did I go? I went to a summer of being unemployed, and then I got.
I
Well,
call
yeah.
that an extended vacation.
Yeah, it was actually nice. I recommend taking a summer off every now and then when you have the opportunity. If you're gonna
Right.
quit your job and start job hunting again, do it in the summer. Because you'll spend a lot of time job hunting, but you'll have a lot of free time in between because you can only do so much job hunting in a day.
Absolutely.
You know,
Because you have to gear your mindset.
I mean, you wake up, you check all the job listings, you
Right.
you look over your resume, you send out a bunch of copies, and then you wait for the phone calls. And
Right.
so there's a little something to do every day, but there's not 8 hours of work every day.
Right, and you have to
do.
space out the interviews. Let's say you get
Yeah.
2 interviews. Two interviews in a week is just like way much. 'Cause
Yeah.
you've got to gear your mind. Yeah, I want to work for this fucking place, and hope that the other place is better.
Mm.
I've interviewed at places. Oh yeah, let's see. How do I get psyched up for this place that I really don't want to work?
I've never.
The worst thing. I went to this interview, and this was from a recruiter. And when I got there, was talking to the guy, and he basically was pressured by the recruiter. This guy didn't use recruiters. He was pressured by the recruiter to have this interview from a cold call. He didn't want to pay for me. Okay.
Right.
I mean, if he doesn't use recruiters, that's fine. He should have said, "Go screw yourself."
Yeah, that's always awkward when you get interviewed by someone that has no interest in interviewing you. And I had one of the.
In fact, he was expecting someone to walk on water. No, it's going to take anybody. I don't care how good it is, a while to come up to speed.
Right.
I mean, that's just reality. Has this guy? How long has this guy been a boss? He wasn't a very good one.
Yeah. Well, and I remember my worst interview, and it was one of these things where I was interviewing while I was working the contract job. The first job I had out here in Massachusetts was the contract job with Analog Devices. I'm working that contract, and I'm trying to interview to find something full time. And so I wasn't sweating it because I had enough coming in to get by, and that was my contract got renewed. They loved me, so it was basically I wanted to find something better, but there was no pressure. So I take the interview, I drive out there. I clip something on my way out there, and the side view mirror is dangling by the power cord that adjusts it. So thank God for powered side view mirrors, or I would have been pulling over, looking around in the bushes over there for my mirror. But that was the worst
You
part.
carry duct tape with you, Gators.
And I'm not sure what the heck it is I clipped that knocked off the mirror. I for all I know, I damaged another car. But by the time I figured out that had happened, I didn't even know when it had happened to go back to try to figure out if I damaged anything else or not. And I figured,
or maybe somebody clipped your mirror.
Well, no, I was driving.
He was
roads.
on the passenger side, though.
Well, I was driving. Yeah, it was on the passenger side. I was driving, narrow roads, so there could have been a street sign or a pole. It could have been another parked car. It could have, but if my mirror came off, their mirror probably stayed on, right?
You don't.
Heck,
It's hard, you just don't know.
I also passed a few bicycle riders, so I really hope it wasn't one of them. But
Gators, bad Gators.
You
now,
would think if a bicycle rider went down, you would have heard it.
I would have expected I would have heard it, but
Or a speed bump happened, one of the two.
But yeah. Anyway,
Although
so,
it is kind of, I say that, but it is kind of odd that, wait a minute, you didn't hear the mirror get busted?
I was thinking about the interview, and I was driving in unfamiliar territory. Yeah. I was focused on my app and the maps and finding the turns. I had a lot on my mind. So now if I've hit dude writing in whoops and writing in, I've not been on the light bulb side of an interview table for over 30 years. Yeah. So I go.
You have never had to apply for your own job back?
No. Well, what, you're asking Dune?
Yeah.
I've never had that opportunity. Or that situation.
My wife has had it. They're
That
doing
is
a major reorg, so they have everybody
re-interview
for their own job.
Now, if you interview for your own job, does that mean they have other applicants go up against you and an impartial person that doesn't know who's the existing person?
That's what happened. Yeah.
Now, because now I've heard the only reason I've heard of that concept is because when we were acquired, it was always
Yeah.
told to us, "Don't worry, we're not going to make you reapply for your jobs." And I thought to myself, "Holy
Sure.
shit! What kind of an asshole would do that?" You know, like why is this a thing that exists that people have to specify they're not doing it? But yeah, corporate America. But
Well,
anyways,
I did work for a small company, and my position was reassigned to the general manager. That
okay.
happens actually quite a bit. And he was the guy that would do my annual review. Okay.
Okay.
And the first things out of his mouth is, I don't know what you do. And that's where you say to yourself, fuck.
That's
It's time
not
to look for
good.
another job.
That's not good if your boss doesn't know what you do.
Yeah.
Well, it's like I was in a situation where what I didn't align with what my boss wanted me to be doing, and that was the situation I found myself in at the bank in Maine before I quit and moved to California. So I picked a pretty good time to do that.
I worked for IBM for 6 months, and I wasn't comfortable with the huge company. You know, there were 10 names between, my boss and the CEO.
Yeah,
I was never going to meet the CEO.
I will say,
And in fact, my boss's boss, I wasn't going to spend much time with. Okay. In
Right.
fact, he got a new boss, and the new boss came. This is the boss's boss. He came in and interviewed the group, so to speak, or talked to the group, and she expressed her vision of what we were doing. And she was talking about how we were going to get all these PeopleSoft jobs. I'm sorry, we were doing SAP for an IBM client. So we were working for blue money. In other words, we were not getting green money from an outside company. Her big vision was we were going to go get green money with people to do PeopleSoft. It's like, what the fuck? We're not PeopleSoft
Oracle,
people.
that was people turned to
This was before Oracle acquired PeopleSoft.
Oh, okay.
Incidentally, I did meet a guy recently. There's a company I think it's called Workforce or Workday.
okay,
They are formerly PeopleSoft PeopleSoft guys that spun off from Oracle.
Oh.
So PeopleSoft is kind of their own company now.
okay. Well,
there was
nice,
a different.
but we really
Dan Marks had
need
a good
to-
friend that was working for PeopleSoft when they were acquired, and he never said, but you could tell that they were joining a whole different.
Well,
culture.
Dune's chiming in here about the whole like why do people have to reapply for the job, and what he points out is it's because companies don't normally get acquired because they are doing everything right and have the best people to do it, and a number of people. Sad but true. Now, and I guess that's the difference because Tharco was doing good as a company. And that was part of why the reason Tharco got acquired wasn't because they weren't doing a good job. It was because, well, the first time it was that the family that started the business grew it to a certain point and moved on to other things, and the third generation didn't want to carry it on, and so they just sold it off to a holding company, which the only thing they're going to do is look for someone to buy it. And
Right.
and
with their hope is to make money.
right. And Tharco was doing
In fact, like the CEO of Tharco worked with the venture capital guys
right.
and advised them when it would be a good time to make a sale.
So when I came into Tharco, that's the state they were in, and the only reason Tharco had a rough year, my first year with them, was because the economy went to shit. And Tharco, Marvin was very good at telling it like it was. You know, the bad news is, yes, there's a lot less of you here. We didn't get raises and we didn't get bonuses. The good news is we survived this and we got through this. Right. You know, and that was
now,
you know.
Was this with the original venture capital guys or the second group?
Well, this was before Boise because
just before Boise. That was the second group then.
Yeah, and
Actually, the second group was not good. They were nice people, very friendly, but they didn't give out bonuses. The first group was a bunch of assholes, but they gave out bonuses.
well, actually, I got a bonus from Marvin before we went
Well,
to
I know, but they
Boise.
didn't give much of a bonus.
I mean, well, it was enough for a PlayStation 3 and to put some more some of it away too. That's not saying much, is it? Yeah, no, I got my bonus. I didn't blow the whole thing, but I said I'm going to blow half of this. And so that day, I went to GameStop on my way home, bought a brand new PlayStation. Well, I bought a brand new refurbished PlayStation 3 and a few games and the motion set for it, and brought it home, and that was how I got my PS3. And then the other half I put in savings. But no, yeah, we did get a bonus that year. The year after the bad downturn economy year, things started recovering, and Tharco had a good year, made profits, and we got a bonus. And Marvin was quite thrilled. I mean, he came around desk to desk handing out the bonus information. It was one of his joys of his job. And 5-Bit Dune goes, that's a win. So yeah, Tharco was on the upswing and doing good when Boise acquired them. And Boise acquired them because, you know, they wanted that business, and Tharco was in a position that they were being held by a company that just wanted a return on their investment.
What I like about working for the small business, right? I worked for this outfit in Denver that was basically tiny. It was one shop. They
You knew it all.
Computer stuff, and yeah, I could do it all. And they also had retail, and I talked to the guys in sales, you know, off and on. And they actually, at one point, wow, they were really big. They had a satellite store with one sales guy there. And they really gave him a big bonus to make it successful. And he did, and then they cut his pay.
Oof.
Okay, we don't want you to be that successful.
Well, anyways,
but the other part of it, just to finish the thought, is that when it was good news, like passing out a paycheck, even the owner / CEO came around with the checks. Here we go. Here's your paycheck. Good job. Moving on.
Now,
when it was bad news, he had the manager give.
Speaking of unfinished thoughts, I have about 20.
Okay.
All right. So, God, where do I even begin? Well, let's go back to interviewing, because I didn't even finish a story about clipping my mirror, because that was not the point of the story. The point of the story was
it was a great sidetrack.
It was a lousy interview, and the thing was it was an interview that it was at the end of the day, and I don't know if the interviewer was just having an off day or if he just really was not all that into hiring from this company and just took the interview to get the recruiter off his back or what. But the interview was with an interviewer that was just completely bored out of his mind, would have rather been anywhere else, and was just kind of like, let's get this thing done so I can go home. Just get this thing done, throw out the resume, and go home. I mean, he was just not engaging, and so I have a lot of it was one of those interviews I came out of that thinking to myself, how did I end up saying so little in there? How did I not find a way to turn it into talking about the things I've accomplished and things I've done? Because, I mean, heck, at that point in time, Tharco was my longest and most accomplished job. And, if I had to summarize everything I did at Tharco, I came in to a company that was setting up computers one at a time, had a mixture of equipment, and a mixture of operating systems, and I built out a imaging process. I got everything on XP. I replaced all the failing NetBoot computers with thin clients, and got a real level of standardization there and an inventory there, and really got the whole hardware situation under control. And I'm not saying I did that single-handedly, but I was the driving force behind that, and I was the boots on the. I did that. And so it should have been real easy for me to, in an interview, be able to speak to that. But this guy somehow did not ask any questions that got me there. And was it my failure? Was it his failure? I don't know. It certainly gave me some But man, did I bomb that interview. But at least
that happens.
Yeah.
That happens.
But also he was just totally bored out of his mind. He kept, asking questions about phone systems, which I don't know much about. And then what I tell him about my experience.
Kind of go, maybe he was just out to hire another guy, but he was forced to interview more than one person.
He wanted to get someone else that would not compare. And I don't know. Whatever. It was. I wouldn't want to work there anyway. It was one of those places that had like a table with computers on it in a row, and you all just work on this like bench on a row. So it's kind of like.
So this is like
open.
Peck.
What's that?
Hunt and peck.
Yeah.
Something.
So let's see. Brian writes in awkward interview. The guy I was to replace was in attendance wearing a clown nose. Oh, that's great.
It was funny. Yeah, like, wow, something is fucking really wrong here.
Five at Dune writes in.
The guy was a loser.
Five at Dune writes in, it was all going so well, up to the point of the e-waste saga. Oh, no, I don't tell that story in interviews. I was so pissed about that. You know about the e-waste saga, right?
Uh-oh, I think you're telling it.
Do I have to? Oh, this is one of those times that me and my Fong were now, mind you, me and my Fong, we got through our differences, and we ended up on very good terms and a great amount of respect for each other. I've used my Fong as a reference several times, and she's always had great things to say about me.
Yeah, go ahead, work for somebody else. I worked for a boss at Tharco before you were around. This was the guy that was the IT director or whatever, manager.
Right.
And he felt guilty that there were some programs that they wanted to get rid of.
Right.
He didn't really know how to fire them. So I think he talked to a recruiter and recommended some of these people to the recruiter to get them out the door. It worked, and he felt guilty about it. No, I think that was a good plan. In fact, I met.
That's amazing that worked. Kudos to him on making that work.
Exactly. In fact, I was at this event with another guy from Tharco, and we met this woman that was kind of shoved out the door that way. And she seemed to be very happy where she was.
Now, I'm curious.
Yes, we didn't even want to say you were the one that was shoved out the door.
Now, Five at Dune writing in, you should have given me her number. I would have fixed that right up. I'm not sure what you mean by that, Dune, but I could give you the invite link if you want to come in and explain how you were going to fix up the e-waste situation. But
was he talking about the e-waste or the woman that I was talking about?
Maybe that maybe that's what he's referring to. Sometimes I get his messages crossed, but he goes, "That's my fave." So I think that was about the e-waste saga. So here's the e-waste saga. Now, my Fong and I did have this. Well, the thing is that companies acquire e-waste, and it's not easy to get rid of e-waste. All the time, I
think it's even worse today.
Yeah, and we had storage shelves and storage areas.
Are we allowed to say that recycling is a joke?
Well, that's we're not. That's not the point of this story. Okay. So old computers would acquire in the storage area on the shelves, and the shelves would fill up, and we had tons of old CRT monitors and things like that. And every now and then, my Fong would say, "We need to tidy up this area, or we need to neaten up this area." And I don't know what to do with this stuff. I don't want to know what to do with this stuff. I fix computers, I build images, I do the tech stuff. I don't want to do the cleanup stuff, but the shit flows downhill. And so sometimes my Fong and I would clean out
at the bottom of the hill.
Right. And I was trying my hardest to dodge it, or to put it off as long as I could, because I had more important shit to do. I mean, I really did. I mean, the clutter on the shelf is not nearly as important as, people being able to fax, even though faxing hasn't been a relevant technology for 20-something years. But anyways, right. That's another story. So,
in fact, I just bought a printer for a friend, or helped a person
right.
select a printer, and one of the options, we're getting one of these all-in-one printers. And it's like, do you want it to be able to fax?
Don't care.
Do you even remember what that is?
But anyways, so generally I'd had two things that I would do. One, delay. Two, get my Fong to help me. So at least that, I wouldn't have to do all the cleaning myself. And my Fong would sometimes do this whole, well, why don't we schedule time tomorrow afternoon? We're going to do this, wear jeans tomorrow, which I never wear jeans. We're going to do this tomorrow. And then she would do things like something came up. And so I wasn't playing this game no more. If she wasn't helping me or she disappeared on me, I would also have something come up. And so it got to the point.
Oh, darn, I'm busy with something else.
But
I've got that plotter in design to fix, right?
But eventually we would organize things. We'd sort out what we're keeping, what we're discarding. She would make pallets appear for us to put stuff on and make the pallets disappear, because she was good at, getting people in the plant to help us, get a pallet of stuff stored someplace. And then she'd be like, okay, arrange for some kind of an e-waste pickup to pick up those pallets. I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll get right on that. And then I'd forget about it because the pallets are over back somewhere. No one's even thinking about them. Not my problem anymore.
In fact, weren't they in the storage cage area?
I don't even know. They were somewhere out in the plant at this point. They were just stacked somewhere in the.
So it's not like right at your feet.
At some point,
at your feet.
At some point, we had 3 pallets full of computers, monitors, and printers stored somewhere in the plant, off to the side. And at some point, every now and then, people would remind us, "Hey, you gonna do something with those pallets of stuff?" Yeah, we're right on top of it. Oh, okay. And then I go back to work,
right. And it'd be forgotten again.
And at some point, our storage area got cluttered again, and so my Fong got a voicemail because my Fong's like, "You should call and get someone to pick it up." I'm like, "Yeah, I'll get right on top of that." And then one day, my Fong says, "Well, I got a voicemail from this company. They're going to be in the area." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, that's nice." And then she forwards the voicemail to me. And I listen to the voicemail. It's like, "Yeah, we've picked up from you in the past. We're going to be in your area next Thursday. If you'd like us to arrange a pickup, give us a call back." And so then my Fong's like, "Did you call them back?" I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, "Well, I forwarded you that voicemail." I'm like, "Well, have we cleaned anything up?" It's like, "Well, then you take care of it." So I'm like, "Okay, you sent me the voicemail. You've nagged me about this. Clearly you want me to call for a pickup." So I called for a pickup. So Thursday morning, they show up. They show up like 2 hours before they said they were going to show up, because I come in and I'm like, "Okay, I've got, 3 hours to get some stuff together and arrange and ready for a pickup."
They were on Central Time, Gators.
They were on Central. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's what it is.
And so it was one of those mornings that some stupid shit kept happening, calling me away from my desk or whatever.
Jose and his plotter?
Jose and his plotter, or Adrian can't get signed in because she turned the computer off and turned it back on, and it has the same screen as before because she's actually turning off and on the monitor. She only... I had a nickel every time she called me over for that.
Oh my God!
The credit card machine is locking people out.
Reunion, I won't be able to keep a straight face now. You should not have told me that.
I think
what
yes.
you do is what you should have done. Take a big giant piece of duct tape, put it over the on-off button on the monitor, and say, "Dad, don't touch that. Don't touch it." I would have seriously see that. Don't touch it.
That's a good idea.
Next time I
don't
see
touch
this,
it.
I'm putting a big old giant piece of duct tape
be
right
fair,
there.
I love these.
That's why you're on the
you
show.
know what? That's what you get.
To be
Don't
fair,
touch it.
I love these people. These are good people.
Yeah.
I don't blame them for being confused, but I will mock them behind their back a little
No,
bit.
I have no problem doing this. For you. I don't care if this is company policy or not. I have no problem with this. I will put a big ass piece of duct tape right on their monitor on the on-off button. Say, touch this, and I'm not helping you. Too bad.
So as I've finally got things squared away and I'm getting ready to go over to gather some stuff, phone call comes in from shipping. We got so and so here to pick up stuff for you. And I'm like, oh my God, why are they here 2 fucking hours early? And I go over, I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm not ready for you guys yet, but if you want to, come with me, we'll take a look what's in the storage area. You can help me carry it out to the truck. And so we go over there. We go in the storage area. We got a few towers. We got a few CRTs. We don't need any more. This guy has got what's the word I'm looking for? A hand truck, a dolly. Like the type of thing that has got a very narrow ledge at the bottom to like stack some nice, flat, evenly packed boxes, not clunky, oddly shaped CRT monitors.
Right.
He kept trying to stack 3 CRTs on this damn dolly. And I kept telling him, you're not going to get that. He's like, no, I got it. And then he moved 2 inches and they'd all fall down and tumble. And I'm like, you've got nothing.
Do you guys have a Home Depot near you?
Don't
Don't you Home Depot get the freaking big ass flat truck and say, there, use that. Too bad.
I had
but the accounting department, it said accounts payable on it. It had that nice dolly.
Yeah, we owned that in IT. We somehow ended up.
Ask Doreen.
Yeah, Doreen somehow lost track of it, and the whole time I was there, it was ours. But I had that load up with stuff, and he's trying to load up another 3 monitors. So I got the dolly going. He's got the dolly going. We're carrying things. He finally got him down to 2 monitors. And he managed to lug those over. We came back for the 3rd monitor, and while we're going back and forth, some troublemaker in the warehouse goes, "You want me to bring up the 3 pallets you have back there?" And I'm like, "What? Those pallets are still back there?" Yeah. I'm like, "You didn't get rid of them? Like, take care of it? Like, leave me out of it?" He's like, "Yeah, I get them for you." And so he gets a forklift and beep 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 because they always safety was of number one importance.
Very big.
Everyone honked their horn every few seconds when you were driving around so you always heard beep 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 beep.
Yeah,
beep, beep.
I would honk the horn too.
Yeah. So
we want to be safe, man. We don't want to be rolling that sucker over.
Well, it wasn't just when you go through a doorway or when you're around a corner. I mean, you're driving out in an open area, you can see everything around you, and they're beep, 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 beep. Yeah. Which I guess, if you're going to have a policy, just honk the whole time. I mean, they may as well have just, duct tape the horn down. But, Eddie...
Don't touch that. It honks itself. It's okay.
It's okay. Anyways,
have a thing that automatically beeps every 3 seconds.
There you go. There you go. I like this idea.
Look at this. We could patent it.
So he brings the 3 pallets of stuff out, and we break down the 3 pallets of stuff. He loads it in the truck, and he loads it all up, and he's done. And he hands me a invoice with a price on it of something like $2,000. And I'm like, "What's this?" Like, "Well, that's our fee." And I'm like, "Okay, I guess that's what my Fong signed up for." And so he loads up the truck. He drives off, and I take the paperwork and I put it on my Fong's desk. And my Fong's like, what is this?" I'm like, "Well, that's the bill for the e-waste that you had me call in." "Well, we can't pay." Actually, it might have been more like $3,000. I don't. It was somewhere between.
That does sound a little high.
It was high. It was, but mind you, 3 pallets worth of computers and monitors and stuff, plus at least another pallet's worth that we dragged out of there. We did a lot of e-wasting there, and they were one of those certified, which you have to use in California. One time I did some e-waste, and I called a company that had a website that looked reputable. A guy showed up with a pickup truck and backed up. We probably weren't supposed to do that. But that guy only charged us for the printers. Actually, no, I don't think it was $3,000. I think it was like $1,300. I think there was a 3 in there somewhere. It was somewhere between $1,000 and $2,000. I think it was.
Just love those days when you go to say Office Depot, and they would have free e-waste.
Yeah. Well, I don't even know if they would have taken everything that we had there, though.
Well,
I mean,
but in the early days,
it was 4 pallets worth of business computers and stuff that was like old, outdated, decrepit, and worth nothing. And although a lot of that probably qualifies as vintage computers that people will buy off of eBay today.
Think how much money you could have made off of eBay with that.
No, I mean the oldest ones there were like Dell Pentium that would run Windows NT. There was nothing sexy about these. I don't think even the vintage computer people would care much about these. So he gives me the bill. My funk's like, "What is this?" And I'm like, "That's the bill for the e-waste." Like, you were not authorized for that. I'm like, "You told me to call them and arrange a pickup. I didn't want you. I wanted you to price compare. I just forwarded it to you because I wanted you to call someone, but you have to get permission for that."
That wasn't in the instructions.
I'm like, "That is not what you told me. You forwarded me the voicemail. You told me to call. No, I didn't mean to do that." And so she's all up in arms at me, and Dale was cool about it. Dale was like, "Well, let's just remember this for next time."
You should have said, "Oh yeah, that was the cheapest. Sorry."
And well, you know, and the thing that really pissed me off though, she wrote me up over it. Oh. She gave me a written up document that she took me to the conference room and made me sign this thing as some kind of official written up reprimand over it. And I let her have it. I'm like, "This is bullshit. You told me to do this, and now you're writing me up for doing what you told me to do. That is not what I meant for you to do. That is," and you know how me and my Fong would get.
Sure. I think I would, just from the 30-foot level, I would say, no, I think you were in the right.
No.
She didn't say price compare, did she? Did she say this? If she did not say this, then you're in the right.
And Dune writing in, "Sup plunked you hard." I'm thinking of a word. Now here's the thing: I don't think I think my Fong.
Let me ask this: when these guys showed up, did you know it was going to cost you guys money?
No, I had no idea until and she was like, "You should have had them unload the truck at that point after they handed you the bill because you're not authorized for that. You should have checked. You should have asked. You should have."
You know how much time and effort that.
And I'm like, let me tell you, after getting those 3 pallets on there or whatever, I didn't give a shit. I really did. I didn't say that, but I mean that is kind of.
No, I go. See, the thing is, to me, the fault was on those guys. They should have said right off how much it was going to cost.
Well, here's
if you loaded up the truck and says, "Wait a minute, I can't pay that," we're going to have to unload the truck. That's going to be wasting his time as well.
Yeah. Right. And
so that was his fault.
But I kind of was like, my Fong for me. Now, here's the thing. Here's some backstory that I've not filled in here. The backstory is this isn't the first time we've used this company. They did this to us once before, where I called them, they picked up, they gave us a bill, and the bill was more than we were expecting. It wasn't over $1,000 though, because it was a much smaller pickup. And Dale once again was cool and said, "Well, pay the bill and let's not use them again." So this was kind of the second time we made this mistake.
Oh, so they were already on a list of do not use them.
Well, they were verbally on a do not use list, but we didn't keep track of that, and we were on their list of someone that paid them in the past. So that's why they called us. So they called us like, "Well, you've used us before, and you know the deal, so you're agreeing to this when we come there." So that was kind of why they called. So after this time, we made it clear to them, "Yeah, we don't want you to ever call us again." Like my Fong called them and had words with them, professional words with them, and I think part of those words were put us on.
So it didn't include "fuck off."
No, it was like, "What can you reduce this bill? Is there anything we can do to get out of this?" Or and it was basically like, "No, what's done is done." And she's like, "Oh right, well we don't want to use you anymore, so don't call us." And then I called them after I got written up over it, and I was like, "You guys got me in trouble. What can you do to reduce this bill?" It's like, "Well, we already talked to your boss about this." I'm like, "Well, I'm talking to you now." And this, I was misled.
You
called us up.
Wow.
You called me up. You left me a voice. You called us up. You left us a voicemail. You didn't tell us what you were charging up front. I think that was dishonest. And that's when they were like, "Well, you've used us in the past, so we thought you knew." And Now I wasn't. It wasn't going over her head. I just was calling them up, and maybe I was a little testy with them because I was pissed at everyone because I thought this was bullshit. Now, to be fair to my Fong, because like I said,
at least it wasn't to FedEx. Right?
I paint my Fong in a bad light in this story, and I still kind of am going to argue my case in the story because I still feel that I was in the right and she was in the wrong on that one.
Herself at this point.
But if I could try to defend her on this, she probably not at that time, but in past times, I think she's told me, well, call 3 different companies, get 3 different prices, and go with the best price. And I think she was asking me to do that multiple times. I kept putting it off. So when she forwarded me the voicemail, in her mind, she was trying to kickstart past conversations that she had with me weeks or months ago, like saying, here's someone you can call on your list of people that you can call to price shop and do the thing that we discussed weeks and months ago. Whereas I took it as, you forwarded me this voicemail, you want me to call them and arrange with them. So that was kind of a lack of communication there. And I put it on her that she was unclear with her communication of forwarding the voicemail, but she would put on me that she had previously instructed me on what her expectations were, and
now,
I should have remembered that.
Of quitting after that being written up?
In my time working at Tharco, you've seen me get pretty heated several times. And when I got heated, every one of those times I thought of quitting. But I also cooled down pretty quickly.
You're like, oh, yeah, rent. We'll talk about that. Think about that later.
Well, I would never quit without lining something else up.
Exactly. Oh, yeah, rent.
Well, I mean, that's shall we say, thinking of quitting, that is working your way out the door to another job.
Well, I mean, here's the thing, is that I job hunted on the East Coast for at least a few years of my last years at Tharco. And perhaps I job hunted more on days that I got pissed off at my Fong than the days that I was getting along with her.
Right. Yeah, because when you're getting along, you're not looking for...
Right. Well, although I knew long term I was looking to move back east, but I also didn't have a timeline on that. So there were times where it's like, I am getting out of here, I'm getting back east as soon as I can. And there were times where like, well, I can give it some time and enjoy time that I'm having here. Things are pretty good here. So yes, there were times that things were rough between my Fong and myself that I considered quitting. Just like there were times that things were rough between my Fong and myself, that there were times that she considered firing me. Or I don't know if she ever seriously considered it. I know that you've told me that she went to HR to try to, get some guidance on better management techniques to work better with me. And HR's advice to her was... HR basically said to her, "Oh, just fire his ass."
Yeah, I didn't hear that part.
No, you told me that. I maybe I paraphrase that a little bit, but you told me that my Fong went to HR to ask for, it was her first time being a manager, so she was at times approaching it with, well, maybe I'm doing something wrong.
I don't recall that detail, but
when I got pretty testy about my Fong, you told me, hey, look she's been advised to fire you when she talks about, and she's chosen not to, so maybe you might want to back off a little bit. Yeah.
Actually, I've been to places where the manager or the supervisor would go to HR to say, we should fire this guy or whatever. And HR says, yeah, but we're not going to replace that person.
Well, I think that started becoming the situation towards the end of my time there, was that, my Fong reached a point that she couldn't fire me because she wouldn't have gotten a new me. And eventually I quit and she didn't get a new me.
Yeah.
But I took that as far as, at least I gave my Fong the courtesy of taking it as long as I could, because I made my exit pretty close to the time that they would have made it for me. Now, Five Hit Dune asking, was she Brian's? Oh, no. She was a peer. She was an equivalent, probably. Because you report it to Dale and she reported to Dale. So you both reported to the same person, right?
Yeah. Well, and she was different. She was
You're right.
You essentially got into the network.
Equivalents in different
And was
things.
doing, yeah.
Although you were a more senior programmer, where she started out as kind of my level, and then she was promoted up, and I came in, and for the first half a year to a year, I reported directly to Dale, with the idea of, while we bring my Fong up to speed, eventually you'll be reporting directly to her. And so Dale eventually transitioned that over. And I at first I was kind of like, gee, I liked it better reporting. Dale, I never had a problem with Dale. He was always chill. He's always laid back.
He definitely is.
And then I start reporting to my Fong, and we start having friction. And my Fong would often accuse me of being. I think she tried to imply that I was a bit sexist because of the way I would treat her. And she's like, "Well, you wouldn't treat Dale the same way." And I'm like, "But Dale doesn't treat me the same way you do." And I'm not doing a good job of conveying that conversation, because I don't think she flat out accused me of being sexist. And I do think that.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's an accurate word.
Right, but I think she did at times imply that because she was a woman, I might have treated her with a little less respect than otherwise, and I will, and I don't remember the exact words, so I don't want to misrepresent it. But to be fair to my Fong, yes, I did treat her differently than I treated Dale, but in my mind, it wasn't had nothing to do.
Dale was Mr. Big, and he was literally a tall guy.
But he was also chill. I never had a reason to.
I like working for tall guys, because they're generally, if you want to.
He was very chill.
Almost like stereotype about it. The tall guys and the big guys are generally chill.
I mean, I don't think I ever.
The little short guys, the little fucking Nazis or Hitlers or Mussolini's.
Oh yes,
those
I'll
guys
give you that.
assholes.
Oh yeah, Dr.
Is that? I don't know.
Seamers.
I mean, granted, I've worked with people.
Gothard's piano teacher in college was one of those Napoleon complex types.
You could almost see the guy have a hand in his jacket. Right?
Now let's be fair and say that we're making overgeneralizations that are not always true. So please don't take this as us being anti-short person. That's not always true. There's plenty of great short people. There's plenty of asshole tall people. But maybe
I had a supervisor when I was in Denver. Mm-hmm. I was kind of normal height, and I was a guy, so I was okay. The women in the department were getting crap from this guy, and there was this one tall guy that would get crap from this guy. Huh. It was bizarre.
It is.
Hey, just be normal height and you're okay.
But going back to Fivet Dune's questioning, if no, she wasn't Brian's boss, and that's the thing, is that Brian, you were in a unique position in that you got along very well with my Fong. I think you're still probably in contact with her from time to time.
Well, because you were just I haven't talked to her in a long time,
but you were buds. You were,
more or less. We got along real well.
Yeah, and you and I,
as did Nick,
and you and I have got along real well. So I think both my Fong and my
I'm a get along kind of guy.
So both my Fong and myself vented to you many times about each other. I think.
Sure.
I mean, I know I vented to you there were times where I'm like, parking lot, I got a vent. And you would drop what you were doing, and you'd come out to the parking lot with me, so I could. People probably looking out at me in the parking lot, waving my arms.
Right.
There's probably a video of you on YouTube somewhere.
Right,
I'm exaggerating a little bit there. I did not flail the arm.
Building security did not include a camera.
No. But
I think they were too old school for that.
But I think she did vent to you about me as well, because she was also. But also, I have to say,
yeah, no, that's true.
My Fong was frustrated with me, but I think she also. We both had a desire to peacefully work with each other. We both had a certain level. I think she, because obviously she didn't shit can me, and she could have. She didn't want to go that way with it. And I think that's because I always made an effort to keep our, personal relationship cordial and friendly.
And if I was talking to a person in her position there, hey, should I shit can this person or not? And I said, hey, you know what? You could always do much worse. Just keep that in mind before you decide to do that.
I mean, that's the thing. The thing is that I have going for me is that is I'm good at my job. I might not always, work well with. I've not gotten along well with every supervisor.
It would be
I've worked
suck
for.
to be one of your vendors.
I mean, because I've now had 3 bosses that I did not get along well with, but I was able to make it work, and that's because I'm good at my job. And ultimately, even though people might not, my boss and I might clash, they couldn't deny that I was good at my job, and that helped me a lot.
That's true.
Dune writes in, some people have a very hard time going from time clocks to management. Yeah, I think she's gone back
That's
to
true.
well now she's a manager of herself, and I don't, she could have got that dude from Colorado. There you go. Anyways, Mars, you've said hardly anything this whole time. You have anything you want to say about job interviews or shitty bosses or shitty
job
coworkers?
interviews? Wear
Yeah.
pants. Yeah,
What?
Wear pants.
Wear pants.
Yeah, wear pants.
Well, what about video interviews?
Wear pants for those too.
Yeah.
You never know what they can see.
Uh,
You might
Right.
you might actually sneeze and they'll see things they don't
they
ever want to see.
they might say, "Hey, could you do us a favor and stand up?"
Yes, we want a full
Right.
turnaround. Do it.
Or they'll ask you to reach for something, and oops.
Oh, sorry.
The 5 Dune running in. Why do I know so much about Johnny's shit? I don't. What are you referring to now?
Yeah, no. Usually I go to an interview. I go, hey, interview done. Huh? It's not hard. Just
No,
go in.
but I have to say, I've had bosses that I've not gotten along with, and among the bosses that I've not gotten along with that well, Mai Fong was the best. Because I do not put her under the category of bad bosses. The other 2, I do put under the category of bad bosses. But Mai Fong's on my good list. So I mean, it was just, I recognize that I'm not the easiest person to get along with, and we were very different people. That's the thing. We're very different people, very different backgrounds, very different
Right.
interests. We didn't relate to each other that well, but I put a lot of effort into relating with her. She kind of would have rather not.
Well,
Like-
the whole idea of, oh yeah, there could be a problem to deal with an employee. She didn't really like that idea. You know what I'm saying?
But I was like, look, there is a problem. Let's deal with it. So I would,
Exactly.
and I actually forced her to go to lunch with me. That sounded wrong the way I said that. I didn't.
Wow.
She agreed. She agreed to go to lunch with me. A
guys
professional
go to Aggie's?
business lunch. No, we went to Five Guys.
You know what? You took her for a place called Five Guys. There you
We
go.
we were gonna eat outside, but then when the bugs started getting stuck in the cheese, we decided to take it inside.
That's protein. You gotta have some sort of protein in that.
Yeah. Ended up
Extra
eating
protein. No
cheeseburgers
extra
with peeled
charge.
off cheese. But anyways, yeah, because you, me, Nick, we all went to lunch. We bond over lunch. It's like, we should go to lunch. We should talk. We should, get along better.
Exactly. That's the
I-
entire reason.
I
The
lamented.
reason why I would do that.
But Mai Fong kind of, her lunch break was her time, and she didn't want to give me more of her personal time than she had it. Now, mind you, I go out to visit the California. I say I'm going to be in the area. I want to go grab some dinner. She's there. She'll do that. But when we're working there day in, day out, she did not want to give me one of her precious lunch breaks. It took a bit of coaxing to get her to give me a lunch break. And I kind of pushed the issue. I said, well, why don't we should get along better? And she's like, well, what do we have in common? I got kids, you don't have kids. What do we have in common? I'm like, hey,
Well, the funny thing is that
we both like technology. We both like computers. We both like fiddling around with this stuff.
Yeah, we're doing the same job.
Right. And then she's like, oh, I guess you're right about that. We could talk about things like that.
Is that she would ask for advice about her children from the likes of me and Nick, and we don't have children. And that's where I came up with, don't you just put the kid in a cage?
Oh, no, Brian. No.
She never asked me again.
Dad, Brian.
Brian, that joke has been ruined, though.
Oh, I know it, but I thought it was time.
But
to
that
bring
still
it back.
does. Maybe
But that was the source of that joke.
Now, Dune writes in. Let's put it this way: there are people you have worked with that if I ran across them in the wild, I would just say, "Hey, do you know Johnny the Gators?" And then I would slap the crap out of them. Well, mind you, if you were listening to those people's radio shows, you'd want to smack the crap out of me.
My phone
So
listens to the show?
let's be fair. There are two sides to every story. Or there's three sides to every story. My side, their side, and the truth.
Does my phone know you have a Twitch account, Gators?
She doesn't know about my phone knows that Brian and I do a show. I think she knows that. I think I've mentioned that much to her. That we still
her the
talk
Twitch link?
regularly. We do the show. What's that?
Did you send her the Twitch link?
No, I did not send her the Twitch.
She would go, what the fuck?
She's got kids. This show ain't family
Oh,
friendly.
are you kidding? Her kids will be watching it. Come on, it's Twitch. They all watch it.
They are getting older now. They could be
Yeah.
They could be two of the three people that are watching right now. For all I know.
Well,
Yeah, I wonder how old her kids are now.
I mean,
I was very disappointed that she didn't show up at that Tharko reunion.
well, she's
what? She didn't show up to the Tharko reunion.
she was probably the only person that still has a job with Tharko. That was on the invitation list.
I know it. Maybe
And
she was afraid to hear bad things.
And so
about
she doesn't have time to show up.
PCA.
Oh well.
No, it was on a Saturday.
Well, she knows how bad PCA
I
is. She
think
works
most
for
of
them.
those people. I know. See, the thing is, most of the people that were there are in the corrugated business or
Right.
packaging business. So most of them have gone to other companies doing the same thing.
Competitors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I suspect, they're going to do the same
And
type
for all we know, some of them
of
jumped ship
workshop.
and joined the oil industry.
Could have been.
You
Could
never
have.
know.
Could that was a little inside joke for Dune, but anyway,
Right. It could happen.
it could happen.
Yeah.
End up on an oil rig. Hey, I used to work with this guy, Johnny the Gators.
Gators, I have a question for you.
Yes?
It's a very, very interesting question.
Okay.
Is Park Place better than the Boardwalk?
Well, they go hand in hand. Park Place is better than the Boardwalk in that it's less of a ripoff because it's $50 less.
Yeah, and the question is, okay? Our game still, we have the old one where all the things are wood still.
I am so glad you noticed the official show topic. So thank you for
I saw that when I first showed up.
thank you for transitioning with enough time to still talk about it. So yeah, you have wooden pieces. Now I think the wooden pieces were war rationing pieces, right?
I don't know, but ours are still. I don't know. We got ours in the 80s. It was.
Oh.
It's a
It's a deluxe edition.
It was
then.
probably a retro.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just gone down in the family. So we've had to buy more money since then because the money's always disappeared. So you could go. To the store and buy
they'll
it.
sell it. Oh, they'll sell you packs of money.
Yeah,
They-
I bought that.
yeah.
I bought
Yeah.
that. That's fine.
Damn, I
and then
never knew that.
And then we have we have the car and we have a cannon and a thimble and a bunch of others. And I don't know what the new ones are. The new ones are you can't take care of it.
Do you have the unicorn and the Bigfoot?
No, I don't, sir. Wait. I got the thing that's on the horse. The horse kind of looks like a unicorn if you don't look at it directly.
Right. It could be a unicornish.
Yeah. And we have the doggy, too.
The doggy.
Yeah.
Woof woof.
I always wanted to be the car, but I always ended up being
I
thimble.
know the car was cool.
And the thimble doesn't really
'Cause
fit on
that
my
was-
finger. It's too big.
Now, was your car metal or was it wood?
Oh, these are all metal.
Oh, I thought you said your pieces were wood.
No,
Maybe you mean the houses.
Yeah, the houses and hotels. They're all,
Oh, yeah, the houses.
I-
okay.
yeah.
That might be
Before
a
they went to plastic.
I don't know.
well.
They're-
I think plastic was the norm, but deluxe editions had wood.
all I know is
At
it's
least
from
in the 80s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the 80s.
Well, it's funny. Monopoly has changed so much that they now make an 80s edition of Monopoly that's the same as it used to be.
Wait, is it the
They
same
need to
one or
update.
is
Do
it
they have a
like
Zuckerberg
is it
version?
blasphemized? Huh?
What's that?
Is it horrible? It's the same thing?
They have it has come to my attention that they have a lot of different Monopoly varieties. They have a cheaters edition of Monopoly where there's like you have cheating cards and you lay them out, and so there's like you have 3 of them out at a time, and so if you get away with that type of a cheat, then you get to claim that card or something like that. But if you get caught cheating, then you have to wear the plastic handcuff.
Oh, God.
They have like a political edition where you're trying to you're basically buying votes instead of buying property because that's how our political system works these days.
Well,
Yeah. Doesn't that suck?
They have an edition where some of the money's counterfeit, and some of the money's not, and so you could use opportunities to when someone's doing a transition, go, hold on a second, I want to check that bill, and use like the special decoder magnifying glass thing to find out if it's a legit bill or if it's funny money, and if it's funny money, you get to keep it, and that person can't. Then doesn't get to, basically loses that money. Although you keep funny money, and now everyone knows that you have funny money. So now you got to figure out a way to pass it off.
So you have to take your money and kind of shuffle it in?
I guess you have to shuffle it in and hope people stop paying attention because, but you only get like 2 opportunities to check for funny money, and I think you get a new opportunity every time you pass go or something like that. So there's limited. You have a limited number of chances to check for funny money.
No, you stick it in the middle where the bank, the pot thing is. Don't let them know.
Well, anytime you're doing a transaction that you're spending the money, if someone wants to, they could say, "Hey, wait, I want to check that." So whether it's paying for rent or going, it doesn't matter if you're paying that person directly or if you're doing a transaction to something or someone else. Anyone could basically say, "Hey, I want to check that." It's interesting the amount of variations, but growing up, Monopoly was my favorite board game, and I think it still is.
Uno.
What's that?
I like Uno.
Well, that's a card game.
Well, it's close.
Oh no, okay, I'll give you that. I'll give you that.
Okay, Monopoly's your favorite-
Uno's a classic.
Yeah. Monopoly's your favorite board game?
Yeah.
Wait,
Well, my next door
is it
neighbor.
better than Candyland?
Yes.
Or Clue. Clue is a good game.
Clue's Master Detective Clue's a close second. I'll give you that.
You know what? You can keep Risk though. Forget Risk. Take that thing and shove it out the door. I don't like Risk. Screw it.
But
Oh, I think that's a cool game as well.
But it's hard to find people to play Monopoly with. And Monopoly has gotten something of a bad reputation, but I think the main problem with Monopoly is people aren't playing it right. First of all, if you don't buy a property, you're supposed to auction it, so all the properties should get sold off quicker. Second of all,
auctioning, we never did that.
Second of all, people should be trading and bargaining with people and taking chances to try to give up monopolies in exchange for getting monopolies. And the other thing is,
step their gators. Look at that.
And the other thing is putting money into the pot for the free parking. That's adding more money to the economy that makes the game last longer.
Yeah, we always did that.
But the more money that is in play, the longer people are able to pay off rents, and so that extends the game time.
Yeah. Our game
So
would last a couple
you
days.
should there be a mechanism where you're allowed to buy the property from the other guy?
No, but it like I said, it's about the group of people. If you're playing with people that are all going to be stubborn and not give up a monopoly to anyone, and the dice happen to result in a stalemate that everyone's holding property and no one's holding monopolies, you're gonna have a bad game. So
have a bad game.
It's all about how the people, but sometimes the dice might give someone boardwalk, and not that, but boardwalk's generally considered a poor strategy because it's not very landed on. The orange properties are the ones to go
But
for.
if you land on the freaking boardwalk and there's like a couple hotels on there, you're screwed.
Oh yeah, boardwalk.
It's like, oh crap.
Boardwalk can kill the game, but boardwalk is very expensive to build up to hotel. I mean,
Excuse me, you just said kill the game. No, I think that's called winning the game.
Well, I'm talking big picture, the whole group, not the individual.
So my strategy was always to buy all the railroads. That was one of mine, and then
Yeah. Railroads is a good thing, because if you get all those $200 a pop, that's good income
that's
to
great.
help
and
you.
it's all
Good
around
income.
the board. It's
Absolutely.
not in one spot.
That might not kill the game, but that certainly helps you fund other buildings and
Exactly.
things like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a good money grab.
I always felt like that they should make a rule that if you land on a railroad, you're allowed to move your piece to any other railroad that you want to. Because
There you
what
go.
are you
Kinda like
paying
shooting the
for?
ladder.
Why are you
Best
buying?
game ever.
I mean,
It's
I
like
mean,
Trivial Pursuit. You don't want to do that.
but when you land on a railroad and someone owns it and you pay them money, you're buying train tickets. So where am I going if I don't actually get to another railroad station?
Well, that's why they have
That's
the
a good.
chance
Yeah, I
cards
mean that's a
and
good
stuff, right?
point.
Yeah.
Oh.
You know, when Monopoly came out, there was this long list of flaws in the game, but it was popular anyway.
Oh yeah. No, it's still a classic game.
Absolutely.
But what I'm getting at is, there was also an electronic device that you could add to Monopoly that would act as the dice and add sound effects, but it also would do things like it would periodically force a recall of property. And if you didn't own a Monopoly on that color group, then you would have to, basically sell it back to the bank for face value, and then it would get auctioned off. And it was a way to try to force property to keep moving in parties of people that would not willingly bargain and trade. So it's an interesting device. I've not played with it. I probably will buy one off of eBay and let it sit and collect dust, since I don't really have many friends to play Monopoly with. But what I've done as an alternate to making friends to play Monopoly with is get computerized and console versions of Monopoly.
Yeah, Wii Monopoly. I played that.
Oh yeah, I've got the Wii one. I've got the summer that I spent at Heart Lake. That was the summer. I think that was either the summer between 8th grade and freshman year of high school, or between freshman and sophomore year of high school. One of those summers. No, actually, it was the summer between 8th grade and freshman year of high school, because I had gotten a bunch of money, for graduating 8th grade, for making confirmation, and having a birthday. So it was the triple whammy. I bought a Sega Game Gear, and I also had more
when
money.
you get money, you go out and buy a game machine.
Right.
Yeah.
And then and then we were at the lake. We brought the Nintendo to the lake because we were at this nice beautiful lake in summer,
see if it floated,
and
I
with
understand.
a paddle boat and a rowboat and swimming and all that. And I'm like, I want to play Nintendo games and watch $25,000 Pyramid reruns. And so we go to the local Ames, and they had a small selection of Nintendo games in a locked
Was it not
case.
toothpaste?
No, Ames was like a competitor to Kmart and Bradley's and Caldor,
Right.
All those stores that don't exist anymore because of Walmart. We go to the Ames.
Was Caldor's out here?
Caldor, I think, was an East Coast thing.
Yeah. I used to go to Caldor's. I liked them.
I'm naming East Coast chains.
Yep. No, I know some of those.
Ames, Bradley's, Caldor.
Kmart. That's where I shopped.
Kmart still exists barely, right?
I think it's all Kohl's now, isn't it? Or is Kohl's gone too?
I thought Kmart
I
still
think
existed.
Kmart is gone. I know they closed the last Sears store,
I know they have
Huh.
Woolworths, but
but
they're
I
not
think
in the States. They're
Kmart,
in the
because
States.
Sears
Yeah.
bought Kmart, so I think Kmart was gone before the last Sears store was.
Let's see. Kmart filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy January 22nd, 2002. Merged with Sears, 2004. Let's see. Sears Holdings declared bankruptcy in 2018. Remaining Kmart imprint was sold to Transform Company in February 2019, and since the stores have continued to close, leaving only 18 Kmart stores remaining.
There's 18.
Wow! As of October 4th, 2021, here are the remaining U.S. Kmart stores. There's one in Grass Valley, California, 2 in Florida, Key West, Miami. There's one in Guam.
Guam.
Gators, you
Wow,
could
that's a
have
good
gone to
one.
Kmart and said Disney World. Come on.
There's one in Michigan that's closing permanently in November. There's one in Hamilton, Montana. There are 2 in New Jersey, in Avenel and Westwood.
See, New Jersey is one of the civilized places on the planet.
And there are 5 in New York. 3 of them are closing permanently soon. There's one in Puerto Rico, and there's 4 in the Virgin Islands. Yeah, wow, Kmart is pretty much gone.
I know Santa Maria had a Kmart that was lasting a long time, but I think it's gone now. I'm sure it is.
Well, I know there was a Kmart in Hayward.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was right next.
Yeah.
to
When did that
it
go
was-
away?
And it was right across the street from the cemetery.
Right, because if I couldn't find something, at the Walmart, I might stop by the Kmart and see if they
And
had
then
it.
it became a Kohl's, and I don't know what it is now.
But and the Kohl's at the mall closed. But anyways, we're talking about Monopoly electronic
you could have bought
games.
Monopoly at Kmart. There you go.
But I bought it at Ames, and because I was at Ames and they had the Nintendo version.
You said the Kohl's closed at the mall in what
Southland.
area?
Yeah, Southland.
Oh, it's Southland is closed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I showed up there not knowing it was closing because I was doing some clothes shopping at the mall. So Kristen and I go to the mall to look for. I think I needed like a jacket for a wedding or a
Time to go to
funeral.
Mervin's.
Obviously, before you left California.
And we go to Kohl's, and we were at the phase of like, this is our last weekend being open. The shelves are for sale. So it was basically whatever
You should have bought
was.
some shelves.
Yeah. Yeah, it's that stage where there's no new stock. This is just the leftover shit that we have reduced multiple times. And if you like that shelf over there, that's got a price tag on it too. In fact, our employees behind the cash registers, they have price tags on them too.
Wow.
Everything must go.
You know what? That might be true in Hayward. I don't know.
I know that was true at the Toys R Us the last day I was there. One of the employees put a price tag on himself because it was that ridiculous.
You know that Toys R Us I think is going to turn to an Amazon place.
That'd be cool.
Oh.
Yeah.
So in Dublin, California, there is a strip mall with a Target. Mm-hmm. And there used to be one of those Home Depot Expresses or whatever it's called, or Expos.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like the high-end Home Depot or some bullshit. And there was a Toys R Us there, and that sign is still there, even though they've been closed for years.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, take your sign.
So I was thrilled when I found Monopoly for the Nintendo at Ames because, like, oh my god, I love Monopoly, but I never get to play it. Now I can play against a computer player on a Monopoly on a Nintendo. And I'm like, oh my god,
you play the crap out of it.
I did.
This is a Wii.
This is original Nintendo Entertainment
OG
System.
Nintendo, the NES.
Oh, okay.
And so I'm like, oh, Mom, I want to buy the Monopoly game with some of my graduation money. And she's like, that money's burning a hole in your pocket. You're spending too much money too fast. I'm like, it's my money. I want to buy that. I love Monopoly. I never play Monopoly. And so she's like, fine, okay, you can buy it, but then you can't buy anything else for a while. You need to hold on to your money. And I'm like, okay, fine. And I did.
After all, you might want to move to California.
And I played the crap out of it. And it was totally a worthwhile purchase. I played the crap out of that game. And that's really got me thinking recently that there have been a lot of computerized, consoleized versions of Monopoly over the years. And I own a few. And I've started a new collection of picking them all up. I mean, So you're a completist.
You
well,
got to get them all.
it would take a lot for me to be completist, but there are differences among them, and there are pros and cons to them, and I think that could be an interesting streaming topic. And I might revive the Computer Bar YouTube channel to do a series of videos about different.
So Dune, are you gonna pick up that topic for the Dune and Johnny show?
I don't know. Is Dune like Monopoly?
You could
That's
have
why I'm
You
asking.
could have a marriage consoling with nothing but Monopoly.
I think
That's it. That's the way to do it.
Well, this will be a weekend thing on the Computer Bar channel. I'm not saying that we're going to come. Now, if you guys want to be involved, I don't know. The CD-ROM version of Monopoly did have network capability play, but I think those services have been turned off, so I don't even know that works anymore. I don't know if there are. I don't. Can you network play on emulators of classic consoles or other systems? Is there a way we could?
I mean, I play RS game. I
doubt
play Monopoly on some RS games, and I've heard the and that's free. And so I've heard the visual interface is kind of sucky. So I don't know.
Right.
I haven't looked at it in a long time.
I mean, the point of this isn't to find a version of Monopoly for us all to play. The point of this is to demonstrate different versions of Monopoly and do a series of videos about, like, here's one of the key differences I've noticed, and this is something that only was done on one version that I can find, although there were multiple ports of that version. The original one for the PC in like 1989, and also that same team put one out for the Commodore 64, so they're based off the same artwork and the same gameplay. The official rule in Monopoly is you have to claim your rent. If someone lands on your property, it's on you
got to call it
to call it, because if the person doesn't pay you,
me, asshole.
if the person doesn't pay the rent and they pass the dice on to the next person and the next play starts,
You lose the dollar.
yeah. And most computer versions and console versions just automatically do the transaction when the person lands on the property. There's no opportunity. But the PC version that was released in 1989, someone has to push the R button on the keyboard to claim rent when the property is landed on. Otherwise, the rent doesn't get paid. So that version has kept that rule preserved. That
So
it
this
is
a local multiplayer. You get 3 guys in a room or whatever.
Yeah, it would be local. It didn't have network play.
Right.
And also it is you could have computer players. The computer will always claim the rent. But if a player lands. Right. Well, it's in the code. It's the computer is
That's right. Cheats.
the computer's programmed to always remember. But yeah, if you're playing multiple humans in a room huddled around a keyboard, someone lands on your property, you need to reach and hit the R on the keyboard to claim your rent.
Right.
And I think that's kind of cool that there's a version of Monopoly that's kept the spirit of that element of gameplay alive, whereas it's convenient that so much is automated on the computer versions of Monopoly that you don't have to pass pieces of paper back and forth and keep track of it all. But it means that you're no longer accountable to monitor your properties and what's going on in the gameplay.
Right.
And so that's little things like that are interesting to discuss.
That allows you to just go get high and just continue playing.
There is that. I mean, some people might see that as a pro. Like, we just want to be honest people and pay our rents and let the computer do that for us. So maybe some people prefer all the other versions of and different versions
like
of
a
Monopoly.
self-driving car, right? I don't want to really drive.
Right. And like some Monopoly versions rigidly stick to the rules of the game. Some Monopoly versions have options to adjust the rules to allow paying fees into free parking, or to allow paying a higher pay if you land directly on Go, or things like that. So that's kind of a cool thing too, that you can have some versions that allow you more flexibility, where some versions are strict. So I mean, these are there's a lot of things that one could discuss about the variations of electronic monopolies over the years. And that's what's on my mind lately. I've been buying old PC Monopoly games.
That's great.
Yeah. And
68 versions of Monopoly. Wait,
oh.
Gators, are you going to buy all the analog versions of Monopoly, though?
Analog.
Yeah, the real versions. Are you going to buy them all?
Well, I mean, some of the original ones that go back to the 30s are pretty rare and collectible and highly sought after and highly valuable. So that would be a very expensive collection.
Think how many versions of Monopoly there are.
Unless you're at some kind of a thrift store that doesn't know what it's worth and you buy it.
Well, then there's like
cheap.
then there's like the super Ricci version where the board is gold and there's like real money and there's like diamond pieces and platinum and everything else. There's that. There's that version too.
Yeah. But I don't know. So I mean, is that Brian? What's your opinion on the game of Monopoly?
Oh, that's a good game.
You own a copy?
I haven't played it in a long time. I think I have a version for the Wii. I might.
The Wii one's cool. It's got different game boards, different theme game boards.
Can you guys play online? Can you do your Wiimo's and play each other online on the Wii's?
We'll have to look into that. See if that's.
Yeah, you guys can tag team Wii Monopoly.
Yeah. Look
at that.
And you too, Mars.
I don't have a Wii.
We can buy you a Wii. They're cheap.
Yeah. How accessible is that, sir?
Does GameStop still sell them?
I'm sure Liam could hook you up with some suggestions on how to.
Go to eBay. Buy an old Wii off of eBay.
You know what?
You're laughing because that's true.
You know what? I'm laughing because you say, "Oh, I need a Wii." You're gonna have 5 people at your door. Here, take my Wii. Take it. Take it. We haven't used this in years. Take this.
There was a video that there's a guy, a YouTuber that does tech video game related streaming called Metal Jesus Rocks. And he did a video where he interviewed a guy that's got a storage locker filled with all kinds of rare, valuable things because he does a lot of traveling to Japan. And so he picks up stuff and then he resells it and for reasonable prices considering the scarcity and rarity of some of the things. And he's just got storage lockers filled with bins and stuff. But he made one bad purchase that turned out to basically be a box of a bunch of old broken down Wiis, and he's just got shelves of these Wiis in the back of the storage locker there.
Now I'm going to tell you, this is my niece and my sisters all use their Wii as a Netflix machine. They used it for just Netflix in the playroom, and that's what it was. Well, now that Netflix isn't
I think my
supporting
original
anymore,
playing of Netflix was on a Wii.
Let Mars finish.
Now, the problem is Netflix isn't supported on the Wii anymore. They're turning it off. I don't know if they turned it off or they're going to turn it off. So that's going to be a useless machine. I might just steal theirs. But
I'm surprised it isn't already turned off because, I mean, the Wii is considered so obsolete these days.
But that's the only
it's not even HD.
Yeah, that's the only thing they use it for. They didn't care about HD. They have an HD TV, but they didn't care. It's widescreen, so they didn't care.
I don't know if I would say it's not HD. It does output component video, but it doesn't output a digital. It's was that 720p? It can go up to maybe, or is it 480?
720p maybe.
Yeah, but the original Wii was just composite video.
Well, it came with.
It was not going to go with even the lowest.
No, Brian. The Wii came with a composite output video. But you could buy a component video cable separately for it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But yeah, my like I said, they only use it for Netflix after a while because they didn't play their games anymore. And my niece has a Switch, so she doesn't care anymore. And it's like, and so they're like, well, what do we? I might just steal it from them. I don't know what I'm gonna do with it though.
Okay, Wii outputs 480p. So although there are plenty of hacks and guides.
I've seen people hook up a HDMI to it. They mod it and do that. But.
Right, there's mods. I mean, there's let's see, basic, but the mods are basically upscaling.
You're not converting it to a true. That's just an adapter. You're not going to be converted to true HD.
But there are some good converters and good tools that do have good results out there. I've never been. I'm not a video person, so it all looks fine to me. But there are people that get really into the conversions
Yeah,
and
but
the
you
upscalers.
like the classic look of it.
Yeah.
There's that too, but well, I mean, Wii falls into that camp of more recent consoles that I'm about the modern technology. Whereas when it comes to the Nintendo, Super Nintendo, I'm more about the original and putting that on a CRT screen. But I also do like, I have my mini NES and SNES that have HDMI out, and I don't turn the scan lines on for that because there is something to appreciate about the, seeing the image as it was actually designed versus the limitations of the technology of the day. I have appreciation for old and new, authentic and modernized.
Which is why you have a Victrola.
Right. Which is why I have Victrola and an Atmos surround system.
Right, exactly.
In the same room.
Exactly.
There's nothing wrong with this.
Yeah.
Now,
yeah.
have you modded your Victrola to go Atmos?
No, I've not installed that upgrade yet. That's going to take a lot of tubing and horns to
You know what? That would be an excellent YouTube though. Sit there and show how you painstakingly did this.
run a bunch of tubes through the walls and the ceiling to have built-in horns in the walls and the ceiling, and then have it hook up to multiple styli to play specialized Atmos 78 RPM records.
You have the holes already. Just put them in the hole. It's
yeah, no.
So Sony speakers versus Bose speakers. Which
Sony
would you
better.
get?
Sony.
What?
Sony.
Okay, Sony versus
Wait.
Polk
Mike,
speakers.
actually,
Polk.
Let me rephrase this. Okay.
Polk versus Klipsch.
Original Bose or
Polk.
new Bose? Yeah, Polk. Yeah. Okay.
Polk is better than Klipsch?
Yeah, for the moment, yeah.
Klipsch is a name that I recognize as probably having a higher status than Polk, but I really like what Polk puts out, and Klipsch I feel like is overpriced, and so Polk I think is better bang for buck. But also before I wouldn't put weight on that record.
Price not being the object, which one is better?
I would say if you're considering between Polk and Klipsch, I would recommend you go to some sort of a store that has a showroom and listen to a showroom, a sound room, a display room.
Like a Magnolia or something.
Difficult.
I would say you need to listen to those speakers and make a decision when you get into that point.
So Brian,
they're not going to be in your room, so I think the point is kind of moot.
Well, but there's still something you could tell about listening to them in a neutral room.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mars.
I have a rephrasing. Okay, when you said Bose or Sony, are you talking about new Bose or 70s Bose?
Well, I mean that's a good question. I mean
Because
the Bose
the
I have
original
is about
speakers were way
20
superior.
years old.
Yeah.
So
the original speakers were way superior to the newer ones we have now.
Yeah. But the speakers that I have are about 20 years old.
My answer to Bose versus Sony would be no. Because, I mean, Bose is one of those companies that you're paying for their marketing. And Sony really isn't. I mean, Sony's...
You're paying for marketing.
Sony's...
They, I think, take pride in their audio. Even their cameras. I think their audio gear is... The audio aspects on the cameras are better than many.
When I think of speakers, I don't think of Sony. Sony's not really a speaker company. They're just a...
Well, it's a media company.
But I mean, who's making those speakers? What are in them? I don't know. I've never known. To me, they're just kind of like the speakers that come with something. No one goes to a speaker store and says,
usually a Sony device.
Does Sony even sell speakers on their own? I mean,
they sell sound bars and they do sell speakers on their own too.
Yeah, but that's not...
Well, and in the early days of the SACD, Sony had a system that included speakers.
Right, and they're the speakers that come with the thing. But,
right.
That doesn't say much for them.
So you're better off with the Bose then?
Well, no.
Like I said, 70s at Bose,
I would say...
Bose, yeah.
If you say, if someone asks me, hey, what do you think, Bose or Sony? I would say scrap that. Go check out what Polk has to offer.
Yeah.
Because
Polk,
Polk's going to give you in that same price range, and they're going to give you something better.
Even some of the higher, I mean, I have some real old Onkios, and they kick. They really are good speakers. But,
I bought
like,
some
they're like
Advent
10, 15 pounds a piece.
wireless speakers once.
Which ones?
Advent. Advent
okay.
is a big name that goes way back.
Yeah, they make
and it
good
goes,
stuff.
these things are really good, right? So I plugged them in. Oh, wait a minute. The case is all plastic, so you get this plastic sound.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah.
And the wireless aspect of it, because I wanted to hook it up to my stereo in one of the house and have the speakers in another room, and they were totally awful. The wireless part sucked. So I brought them back right away. It's like, this is not a hard decision.
Yeah. Are you seriously thinking of speakers? Is that why you're asking?
It's a conversation.
Oh.
I'm not actually. I got some. Do you remember at Radio Shack they had these metal
I love
things
those
called the
speakers.
Minimus 7s?
Yeah.
They
those
were
really
small.
Yeah.
They actually sounded decent. But Radio Shack is gone, whatever. And I bought these Panasonic ones that are very similar to it, and they're just not as good. I expected better out of them. Panasonic likes to have decent products. They're not quite Sony, but I think their camera gear is decent.
Well, yeah, there is that. But
that.
that was me starting to scope out what was out there as far as raid options, because we are reaching that hour.
We're in overtime.
We're in overtime now, which is all good. It's all good to be in overtime, but we do need to start thinking about these things. So I'm just kind of seeing who's live, who haven't we rated in a while. But there's not a whole lot I'm seeing right now, but there's some options here.
There's Zoe.
Yeah, Zoe's playing World of Tanks. Rosemary Teal is live right now, so we might
in the middle of
we might
Okay, that's been
check.
a while.
Yeah, we might check her out. Although she's just putting down a guitar, hopefully to chat, hopefully not to wrap up. But so I think we covered everything. Now, Mars, you haven't said your opinion on Monopoly. I asked Brian. I didn't get around to asking you.
Dramatic pause.
I love Monopoly.
Hold on.
But
Awesome.
all your extra features, I don't know about that. I don't know.
So,
You know-
okay, here, one question about Monopoly, right, before we go.
Okay, yeah.
How many players make it optimal?
4.
That is a good question, because
Four.
a two-player Monopoly game is
boring.
very different.
It's very boring. You have that 4.
Well, it's its own.
And risk, you need a bunch of players.
Oh, screw Risk. Risk can go out the window. Go away. Go away.
I wouldn't say
I'm
that.
sorry. I'm sorry. Clue needs.
Oh, yeah, you gotta
needs
have
more
4
players.
Clue needs at least 3. At
Yeah,
least
3,
3.
4.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because 2 is like, nah.
Now, I will say that I wouldn't say that a two-player Monopoly game is boring, but I will say it's a very different dynamic than a 3 or 4
No, you need more
player
people in
game.
Monopoly.
It's
Right.
It's a very different game as a two-player game. I mean, sometimes I play a two-player game against one computer player versus playing a 4-player game against 3 computer players. And the problem with playing Monopoly against multiple computer players is when you get multiple idiots in the same room, they'll do stupid things, like make trades with each other that gives one of the computer players all the good cards and ruins the game. But now, 5-Hit Dune asking about the game of life. I guess Dune's more into the game of life. We had that.
It's not bad. It's a good game.
I
and
don't
a good
recall
story.
ever playing it.
Yeah.
I only we bought it, but we bought it like when I was a teen. So it was a game that in my childhood I always seen advertised, but never played it. And we played it a few times once we bought it as a teen. Maybe it was a Christmas gift or someone decided to buy it, and so we all played it kind of as a family game time thing. It was okay. I don't feel the desire to go buy it again.
So my dad's brother would like to give us various board games for Christmas, and
Right.
my mom hated that.
Because then you all wanted to play it.
I don't know. It's funny.
That's funny. I remember.
You know, mom was the type of person that says, "Yeah, hey, for Christmas or my birthday, do not give me a vacuum cleaner. Do not give me pots and pans.
Right.
Screw that.
Yeah. There's
Cleaning
that.
products, come on, forget it, man." Anyway,
Anyway, so yeah, and another cool thing is I found out. Do you all remember some of the early spin-off Monopoly games? Like at some point in the late '80s, early '90s, they had a spin-off game called Advanced to Boardwalk, and another one called Free Parking.
I remember free parking.
very vaguely.
I remember free parking. I don't remember Advance the Boardwalk. I never.
No,
played it.
I'm too old for that stuff.
I just
Well,
remember
I-
commercials.
I was past college then.
No, I have Advanced to Boardwalk, and the reason I have it was one year someone bought me Monopoly for a birthday gift, but I already had a Monopoly set, and so my mom got the receipt from his mom, and we went to oh my God, I forgot this one on the last list. We went to the local James Way to exchange it for another game.
James Way?
James Way.
What
Do you
the
remember?
hell is that?
I think that might have been local to New Jersey.
I know.
Yeah, it was similar to a Kmart or an Ames or a Bradley's or a
A
Caldor.
department store.
Yeah, yeah.
It's funny to see all of those companies gone.
Yeah,
And now we're down to Target and Walmart to see who's going to win.
yeah. Well,
And then, of course, Amazon online.
yeah. So we went to the James Way, and we went to and because we're exchanging a gift, we may as well exchange it for another board game. So we went and looked at the board game aisle, and I'm like, well, why not exchange it for another Monopoly themed game, Advance the Boardwalk? Which, being that I love Monopoly, and they were advertising these other games that were offshoots or spin-offs of Monopoly,
Yeah.
I wanted Advance the Boardwalk. So it's an interesting game. It's based on building hotels along plots of land on the boardwalk, and so you actually have these like plastic colored pieces that each player gets a bunch of plastic pieces in their color, and you can build them, and who builds more by the end of the game wins. Dune writes in one of the best John Travolta quotes: "Do I look like I play board games?"
Really? I don't remember that one at all.
I don't.
I don't know that I could quote anything from John Travolta, but
Like maybe a few dance moves, but that's actually it wasn't one, no. One of his lines in the movie just came to mind because there's the scene in Saturday Night Fever where the chick that's into him that he's not all that into is trying to get with him in the back of the car. Since now they're not dance partners, they can go have sex in the back of the car, and she doesn't have any
Bungie.
and she doesn't have any protection. And he's like, "What, are you kidding?" She's like, "It's okay, I love you." No, none of this. Give me a blowjob or something to those lines.
Oh my God! I have not watched Saturday Night Fever in a while, apparently.
Well, keep in mind there was a PG-13 cut of the movie too that cuts that line. So
So I gotta find the R version of that, apparently. Okay.
yeah, get the DVD. It's anyways, yeah. So that's about the only John Travolta quote I could come up with on the spot. What was I starting to say? I was starting to say something. Oh, Advance to Boardwalk. So the thing that I found interesting, they actually made computer versions of Advance to Boardwalk.
Oh.
In 1990, they put out a PC version, a Commodore 64 version, and an Apple version. And I've not played the Apple version, but I have the Commodore and PC versions. And the Commodore version has better graphics because the PC version they only made CGA graphics for, which I find it odd that a PC computer game released in 1990 would only include CGA graphics when EGA graphics
Well, that's
had
still pre-Windows or early Windows.
It's still pre-Windows, but EGA had existed for a number of years by then.
Yeah, but that was one of the mistakes of the PC. You had VGA, you had EGA, you had the color card, whatever the hell that was.
You had CGA.
You had the
MGA.
monochrome
Yeah,
card.
the MGA ones.
Right, but EGA was a pretty established standard for computer games by the late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
And they were using they did the artwork for the Commodore version. They could have made an EGA port that had the same quality of artwork as the Commodore 64 version.
Yeah.
Because I tell you, the Commodore version smokes it hands down. I mean, and they're made by the same company at the same time because they had the same style artwork. It's just that you actually have a color palette on the Commodore 64, and you have a 4-color. You're using like alternating color checkerboards or alternating line boards to differentiate different color groups, since you don't have enough individual colors. I could show screenshots, but we'll save that for another week.
I mean, to get like a purple color, purple isn't one of the 4 colors.
Right.
So you put a red dot next to a blue dot. Right.
Right. Well, and CGA could do color palettes like that in composite mode, but a computer monitor generally wasn't doing composite signal. So a lot of people never got the full approaching
approaching
graphics.
double overtime.
We are approaching it, aren't we? So anyways, that's another cool thing that we might have to cover in our Monopoly reviews. So keep an eye. I've been acquiring things. You know what's frustrating to me? I bought one of the earlier CD-ROM versions of Monopoly. Windows 10 won't install it, even though it's a 32-bit app. I think the installer is 16-bit. Even though it installs a 32-bit version, and so it won't run the installer on a modern computer. So I have to, but I'll probably run it on my vintage Windows 3.1 machine anyways. Anyways, we're going to go ahead, and we never opened the show. And usually I would do as a gag, open it and then close it, but we don't have time for that. So we're just going to close the show we never opened. Because
Bye.
You've been listening to another fun-filled edition of
Insert title here.
But we do try to be educational, so we've learned a whole lot this week. And Brian, what have you learned this week?
Monopoly is fun. Oh, wait a minute. I already knew that.
There you go. You need to play it. You haven't played it in too long.
Oh,
Go ask your wife,
I'll
hey,
have to see if I really do have the Wii version.
be like, hey, feel like playing some Monopoly tonight when you go out to talk to the missus, and I'm sure she'll say yes, right?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah. Hey, tell us next week how that game went. Invite some friends over, because you got to have at least 4.
With a couple Folgers.
With a cup of Folgers. Mars, what have you learned this week?
Brian doubly hates himself by buying the F-word coffee and the Keurig cups. He hates himself.
I did
Brian,
it for
why do you
the
hate
show.
yourself? Brian, why do you hate
Why are you
yourself
punching
that
yourself?
much?
Why are you punching yourself? Why are you
Stop
hitting
punching
yourself?
Brian, stop punching yourself. Dang.
I did it for the show.
Oh,
Take
God.
one for the team.
Yeah, I will take that for the team.
And 5-Hit Dune learned that a whole lot of peeps gonna get slapped someday. And I have learned that I can count on Mars to swing things back to the official show topic when things have just gone off the rails completely.
Early on, I posted the show topic, and well, you did post it briefly, but
I'm not.
should have left it up.
We had some good conversation going this week. I
course.
wasn't gonna force it off, but
that's
Mars
fine.
found the opportunity and he took us there, and that's just great. So let's go ahead and let's raid Rosemary Teal, and
Okay.
thank you all for watching, and good night.
Thank you.
And we're gonna raid in 8, 7, 6, 5,
5, 4, 3, 2,
4,
1.
3, 2, 1. Raid now. And we're there.
Because I had to work today.
I'm raiding with a party of 1.
I
Aladdin.
didn't
Oh.
do it.
Ooh.
How is that?
Aladdin.
I don't know, because I'm in there and you're in there.
Johnny Gators. Thank you for
Oh,
the raid.
I'm hosting for 2 viewers.
Oh,
Okay,
she sounds
that's
like
you.
she's in the
How are
bathroom.
you?
Why does she sound like she's in the bathroom?
Well, she's a singer, so she's put reverb on the voice for singing.
Oh, she's in the potty. She's singing in the potty.
Singing in the potty. Yeah, that's what it is.
Yep.
No.
Oh, my stuff is working.
That's reverb.
Oh, by the way, Dune, if you're still listening, which I doubt you are because you're probably not hearing this, but so tell him that Don Geronimo is back on the air.
Like me.
But
Ah.
I'll tell him later.
If there's anything I
All
can
right,
do
yeah.
for you,
Well,
please
hey,
let me know.
when he does a 5 on Saturday, you have to tell him.
Yeah, I'll tell him.
Hey, Brendan,
All right.
how are you?
Okay.
All right. Well, hey, good show. Catch you all later.
What I
Yes,
All right,
I
we'll
have
see
to
ya.
eat food now.
Yeah. Good night.
Bye, guys.
Or is this some
Yeah. Hey, thanks, Dune and Mars.